Ages ago, a powerful faction got way too greedy with divine ruins. The Guardian had a brilliant, if extreme, way to stop them. He unleashed a horde of ancient monsters. A bold move, sure. It was a pretty effective way to scare off those miners. But here is the catch. Those ancient beasts couldn't survive in the human world. Slowly, they withered. To survive, they started turning into spirits and latching onto unsuspecting hosts. They hide in the shadows, waiting, and this brings us right to the present. That punishment from the Guardian, it is still ongoing, and things are falling apart. Now, the news is just a constant, soul-draining stream of warnings. Mutated life forms attacking citizens everywhere, and that is where our story starts. Rainy downtown subway station, a sleek, futuristic train pulls into the platform. Inside, you have the typical soul-crushing scene, a packed, miserable commuter train. But one guy is totally zoned out, completely lost in his own world. This is Chinzei, a recent grad just trying to vibe his way through life. Turns out the poor guy has zero talent, got kicked out by his family, and is barely scraping by. Standing nearby, a transit security guard is just doing his job. Then, suddenly, a shadowy monster hand materializes right behind him. A massive, drooling beast. It has been hiding in plain sight the whole time. Naturally, the entire train car erupts into pure, unadulterated panic. Even Chinzei is yelling, though he looks more annoyed than terrified. He rips off his headphones. All this screaming is really killing his vibe. Just like that, the security guard is down, a brutal, instant casualty. This hulking Bearman monster starts ripping the car apart, roaring about demolition. The commuters predictably lose their collective minds at the sight of a real-life mutant. See, these ancient spirits possess emotionally unstable humans to create these things. That explains why this guy is on such a violent, unstoppable rampage. And Chinzei, he finally realizes this is definitely not a drill. At that exact moment, the train slams into the station platform. A slim chance of survival, but the emergency brake sends everyone flying. People are crashing through shattered windows, tumbling across the floor in a mess of limbs. Pay close attention here. This is where the real chaos kicks off. The subway doors finally slide open. Human decency is the first casualty. Everyone tramples each other to escape, spilling onto the platform in a wave of terror. Left behind is just the grim aftermath of a panicked, desperate escape. Cracked phones and abandoned bags litter the floor. It is a total wreck. Our boy Chinzei somehow makes it through the stampede alive. He looks a little worse for wear, breathless and shaken, only to see the monster standing tall over the less fortunate. It is still on its demolition kick, now ranting about flattening everything in sight. All that remains is pure, unadulterated terror. Just a grim scene left behind, cracked phones and abandoned bags everywhere. Our boy Chin somehow claws his way through the chaos of the stampede. He looks pretty beat up, but he made it out alive. That's when he sees the monster still standing over those less fortunate. It's on a rampage, ranting about flattening everything for its money's worth. It is all about reclaiming land, a pretty specific, petty kind of grudge. Chinzei immediately deduces the host was some local demolition thug. The guy got way too emotional, but then Chinzei spots a way out. He starts planning his own great escape right then and there. But his conscience kicks in when he sees a grandma standing there. She is protecting her terrified grandchild, so he decides to play hero. He tells them he will lure the beast away so they can run. He even cracks a joke about his totally mediocre track record. He claims those pathetic field days are his only real qualification. As he squares up, a shadowy entity reveals it has been watching him. Chinzei starts his big distraction, a move that could kill him. He sprints past the monster to get its full attention. He even calls it an idiot just to make sure the brute takes the bait. That works a little too well. The beast immediately snatches his head. Turns out his mediocre running skills were not enough to escape this. He just could not outpace a giant mutant, could he? Meanwhile, the grandma and her grandchild finally reach the platform. Guards are yelling, knowing someone is still trapped inside. The monster delivers a bone-crushing blow right to Chinzei's face. Then comes a full-body slam that hits like a freight train. It smashes him into the station floor. Our boy is left bleeding out. He is completely dazed, while the beast just scoffs at his struggle. Chinzei finally admits to himself that he might have miscalculated. Just a slight miscalculation. Maybe he really is in over his head. At least he gets one final look at the people he saved. They are safe behind riot shields, right as the heavy doors close. He is left all alone to contemplate his own fast-approaching end. The little girl desperately pleads with the guards to save him. She cries out for the big brother who helped them stay alive. A new commander arrives, coldly ordering his troops to hold positions. Some kind of dark, swirling energy wraps tightly around his own arm. Back inside, Chinzei lies defeated, unable to believe this is the end. It is hard to accept, but his story feels like it is closing. Still, he manages to clench his fist with his last shred of strength. He refuses to accept such a lame, pathetic way to go out, especially when his life has barely even started yet. As his consciousness fades, his entire life flashes before his eyes. It starts with his mom calling him a total, hopeless failure. Then it jumps to the lovely memory of getting cornered by school bullies. And to cap it all off, a stinging, cold romantic rejection. Because his life has just been one big, non-stop winning streak. All that rage from a lifetime of failures comes pouring out now. Even as the light fades, there is a flicker of pure defiance. You can see it right there in his eyes. He is not done. For once in his miserable life, he actually wants to win. The Bearman monster winds up, ready to end this right now. But just as the blow lands, a blast of golden energy hits. It deflects the attack, sending the massive beast flying backward. A new resolve burns through Chinzei AI, a desperate need to live. The shadowy entity from before shifts, revealing a golden dragon spirit. It dives straight into our boy, flooding his body with raw power. The spirit has the nerve to greet him like an old pal. It is acting like they have not seen each other in ages. Chinzei AI drifts into a weird mental space, confused and alone. He is convinced this is all just a dying, final dream. Yeah, he chalks it all up to an epic post-death hallucination. But the spirit clarifies his worthless life makes him a perfect host. Back in reality, the monster swings for a final, heavy blow. It does not notice the change until its punch stops cold. A newly armored hand catches the fist. Chinzei AI is up. He is fused with the ancient spirit now, feeling brand new. It offers him the one thing he has never had, a chance. Raw power surges through him, and the demolition beast looks confused. Watch this, the moment Chinzei AI turns the tables for good. His new form delivers a face-shattering punch of his own. His hands have transformed into razor-sharp golden claws, a serious upgrade. They immediately shift to a menacing crimson, hinting at his power. The dragon spirit explains these claws are high-tech exorcism tools. Chinzei AI demonstrates, slashing at the beast with a wild grin. He gleefully announces it is time for some impromptu spiritual surgery. With one clean rip, he severs the connection to the host. The bear spirit is torn away in a flash of energy. The demolition thug collapses back onto the subway seat, totally wrecked. Looking like he went 10 rounds with a cement mixer. Floating there, the ancient spirit seems a lot less intimidating now. Chinzei AI gives it a casual hello, like they are buddies. The spirit is not feeling the friendly vibes at all, though. It finds itself completely outmatched by our boy's new form. Chinzei AI plants his foot down, making it clear who is boss. He grabs the spirit, calling it a high-quality snack. He opens his jaw wide, proving he is not kidding about dinner. He swallows the entire thing in one gulp, looking puffed up. And then he lets out a burp, complaining about the aftertaste. You have to love his confidence, even after a spirit meal. But his post-meal bliss is cut short by a sudden noise. A squad of armored troops is storming in, weapons pointed right. They are not here to talk, and the energy in the room shifts. Chinzei stands his ground, gold armor glowing in the dark subway. This is going to get messy, and he knows it. The troops charge, but he is ready for whatever comes next. He instantly recognizes the station. It's the notorious security department. Just as the cavalry charges in, a massive wave of pain slams into him. He realizes his new power-up has some really nasty side effects. That black armor starts fusing directly to his skin. Chinzei is hit with a full-blown identity crisis. He gets a good look at his brand new and very pointy murder mittens. Then he catches his reflection in the train window and realizes he looks like a straight-up final boss, which naturally sends him into a spiral of pure, unadulterated screaming. Meanwhile, the security guards just stand there and watch. One guy even asks about his cosplay, but these troops are definitely not here for autographs. Chinzei then spots the original demolition thug currently drooling on a subway seat. It finally dawns on him that he is the one who put that guy down. His new dragon parasite pops up to clarify it saved his life, so he should be grateful. When Chinzei worries he killed the thug, the spirit just calls him an idiot. Having seen enough, the armored squad opens fire with heavy-duty energy blasters. Chinzei's body starts twisting and dodging like a seasoned acrobat. That is when he realizes the dragon spirit has completely taken the wheel. The spirit decides they have overstayed their welcome, firing a blast to make a quick exit. But one soldier lands a direct hit with a tranquilizer dart. Since they are not perfectly in sync yet, the result is unexpected. Instead of knocking him out, the dart just makes him feel ticklish. One guard reports back that their strongest sedative is having zero effect. The commander immediately orders them to switch to shock grenades. This dragon spirit just smirks, telling Chinzei to sit back and enjoy the show. Now that they are fused, this fight is going to be a whole different ball game. The soldier lobs a lava shock grenade right at his feet, helping to finally put him down. The dragon spirit just casually bats the bullets away with a flick of its claws, leaving the entire squad baffled. Their high-tech arsenal is doing absolutely nothing. With that, Chinzei's new body smashes straight through the side of the train, launching into the sky as the troops below unleash a volley of energy blasts after him. Back on the platform, the security team is left to stare at the absolute mess he made. That is when a new player arrives on the scene, a blonde woman with a very intimidating cyber dog. She is an infantry captain, and she immediately demands a status report on their runaway target. Her subordinate has to sheepishly admit that their agile target slipped away, and she gives him a look of pure disappointment. It's silent, but that stare is basically telling him he's a total failure. Meanwhile, her cyber mutt sniffs around the still unconscious demolition thug. She surveys the wreckage, then randomly complains to her pet about its posture. The constant hunching, she says, is just exhausting to look at. In response, the dog promptly morphs into a creepy, white-haired guy. He's got glowing eyes and he crouches there before her. Suddenly, he looks a lot less like a pet and much more like a problem. He slips on a jacket, claiming his animal form is just more approachable, which is a bold-faced lie, and you know it. Looking at the wreckage, he deduces a freshly fused spirit like Chinzei can't be far. The captain tries to recruit him, calling the security bureau useless. But this guy, Bufong, really isn't interested in the gig. He explains that mystics are a different breed entirely. They just don't do the whole joining an organization thing. He's about to walk away, but suddenly he stops cold in his tracks. He whips around, clearly sensing a clue that everyone else completely missed. The captain tries to rush him along, but he's already zoning out. Bufong is busy trying to lock onto Chinzei's energy signature. He casually reminds her that actually finding the guy is going to cost extra. With the price settled, he closes his eyes. He begins his mystical tracking technique. It apparently involves some dramatic posing and a whole lot of spiritual smoke. His senses immediately connect with Chinzei, who's leaping across the city rooftops. But as he focuses on the kid's new armor, he hits something else. Some kind of dark, parasitic entity is latched right onto his back. You can see the toll it's taking. Buffon starts breaking a serious sweat. He's getting a front row seat to the massive dragon spirit inside our boy. The sheer power radiating from it is almost too much for him. That dragon doesn't appreciate being spied on. It lets out a psychic roar in his mind. A wave of feedback hits him like a truck, just about frying his brain. He's completely stunned by the raw, untamed energy he just tapped into. The spirit even has the nerve to call his tracking creepy. Then, it mentally body slams him. Back in reality, the captain just watches, probably wondering about her money. Despite the psychic beatdown, Buffon manages to gasp out that he's found the target. But the captain is a little more concerned that her tracker looks unwell. He collapses, looking like he's about to hurl up his own soul. That's one way to end a search mission. Despite taking a total psychic beatdown, Buffon gasps out that he found their target. But the captain, she's way more worried about her tracker looking unwell. And right on cue, Buffon collapses, looking like he's about to hurl his own soul. He's out cold, totally unconscious. Wait, he's actually in the clear, just pulling a classic, Oscar-worthy move. Wu Feng wishes her luck with the target and asks for a medic. She grabs him by the collar, desperately demanding the location. Before he's completely gone, she needs to know where they are. Wu Feng, looking like he just wrestled a psychic ghost, gasps it out. The captain stays cold, entirely unconcerned her tracker is passing out. She just turns to her subordinate, a cyborg named Flying Squirrel. The order is given move. He powers up, red eyes glowing, ready to hunt their runaway down. Then he blasts off in a massive explosion of blue electrical energy. His boss just smirks, boasting her guy is simply unbeatable. Across the city, he zips through urban canyons like a bolt of lightning. At that exact moment, Chinzei is still parkering over rooftops. He's stuck in this new monster form, arguing with the dragon spirit. The spirit clarifies they are fused for life now. Our boy's biggest complaint, he's deathly afraid of heights. Plus, the motion sickness is starting to hit him hard. The spirit tries to justify their escape route, mentioning the sorcerer. But Chinzei is completely done with this aerial tour. He just screams that he wants down. His internal parasite calls him an idiot for throwing a tantrum. That only sends Chinzei into an even bigger panic. He loses his composure and his footing. Now watch this. He's flailing wildly as he plummets toward the ground. He crashed into a narrow alleyway with a loud, painful-looking thud. Picking himself up, he groans that the landing definitely hurt. The dragon spirit scolds him, explaining the armor broke his fall. But that armor is now offline for repairs. Back in normal clothes, Chinzei stumbles away, ignoring the spirit. He walks straight into a trio of thugs. These guys look like they haven't eaten in a week. The lead thug spots him, ready to start some serious trouble. Chinzei realizes these aren't street punks, they're armored enforcers. They promptly leap from the rooftops, cornering him in the alley. But a moment later, the entire area is completely empty. Our boy lets out a huge sigh of relief. He thinks he's in the clear after that classic dumpster hide maneuver. His internal parasite gives new directions to a clock tower shelter. It warns him that going home is totally off the table. The security bureau will be waiting there for him. Chinzei's biggest regret, probably not listening sooner. He hid inside a dumpster. His internal parasite pipes up, giving him new directions to a shelter near a clock tower. It warns him that going home is totally off the table. The security bureau is waiting. Chin's biggest regret, the system is offline for repairs, and his strength is fading fast. It really looks like this is the end of the line for him. Still, he won't delete that very special homework folder. It's a priority, one that leaves the ancient dragon spirit, totally baffled by human nature, just as he's processing. His digital loss, someone starts watching him from above. It's none other than the captain's high-speed cyborg flying squirrel. He drops into the alley with all the subtlety of a falling freight train, gives Chinzei just enough time to realize he is in way too deep before the cyborg snags him by the ankle, casually announcing he is officially under arrest. This guy then proceeds to use him like a human flail against the alley walls, landing gracefully after the one-sided beatdown. Once it's finally over, he offers a deal: give up the spirit, possessing him, and walk away a free man. But the dragon spirit tells him that cooperation is not really an option here. With new resolve, Chinzei agrees to fight alongside it, much to the spirit's surprise. Chinzei clarifies that cooperating actually meant fighting back, not surrendering to this cyborg. With a manic grin, he channels the dragon's power and throws a wild punch at his captor, but Flying Squirrel catches the fist without even breaking a sweat, completely unimpressed, calling his moves predictable and boring, which is just a fantastic ego boost. So the dragon spirit materializes a gnarly-looking claw gauntlet onto his arm. As a little upgrade, now properly armed, Chinzei readies himself for round 2 with a whole new attitude. He swings again with the claw, only for the cyborg to catch it with both hands, stopping him cold before sending him flying with a perfectly executed backflip kick to the chest. This guy lands like a superhero, barely even ruffled by the entire exchange. Chinzei is just thrilled with his new knuckle duster, earning a quick correction from the spirit, which explains this claw is a divine tool forged by its adorable little spirit buddies. Having had enough fun, the cyborg announces that playtime is over and forced arrest is now in effect, but Chinzei refuses to back down, declaring he will not surrender his freedom or his new parasite. He's even taunting the guy, practically begging for a fight now that he's all fired up. Flying Squirrel just promises he will regret that choice. Looking absolutely furious, he launches a diving attack from above, only to find his target has completely vanished from sight. The dragon spirit screams a warning as the cyborg instantly reappears right behind him, landing a brutal kick that sends our boy stumbling across the alleyway. His internal parasite offers some tactical advice, telling him to aim for the legs since he is way too fast. Taking the hint, Chinzei summons a second claw, powering up, finally ready. He's actually fighting smart now, using that advice. He blocks a high kick with his dual claws, but the sheer power of it still sends him crashing into a pile of scrap metal. That dragon spirit chimes in then with some totally useless moral support. Chinzei immediately tells it to shut up, reminding it that it absorbed the damage, not him. But before they can argue more, the spirit warns him Flying Squirrel is already moving again, so our boy grabs the nearest heavy object, a jagged gas canister, and swings it with everything he has, praying for a solid hit. The cyborg just shatters the makeshift weapon with his arm, blades barely even slowing down. He's looking genuinely annoyed now that this kid is still putting up a fight. Done playing defense, Chinzei goes full feral, channeling a massive surge of power, unleashing a lightning-fast barrage of slashes that fills the entire alleyway. This time, they meet in a brutal clash of claws versus blades, neither giving an inch. And for the first time, the cyborg is forced to skid backward from the impact. He looks up, clearly surprised that the kid had this much hidden power, even taking a few shallow cuts from the relentless assault. While Chinzei catches his breath, the spirit smugly boasts that its claws are the ultimate weapon. Turns out that was the wrong thing to say. The cyborg erupts in a dark aura, promising to shred him. He reveals he can smell the parasite inside Chinzei, identifying him as a fellow spirit host, which makes the dragon realize the security bureau did not just hire a cyborg, but another mystic. It explains that the cyborg has his own parasite, and Chinzei's attack just disrupted their balance. The dragon explains that his attack didn't sever the connection, just royally messed it up, which, unfortunately, unleashed all the hosts' pain and fury in one massive, uncontrolled burst. Now fully transformed into a werewolf, the cyborg roars that he will kill Chinzei for his spirit, and our boy realizes this is the same out-of-control state he saw on the train before, with no time to think. The beast lunges forward with terrifying speed, landing a brutal punch that sends Chinzei hurtling across the alleyway. While he's getting juggled midair, the dragon's spirit desperately tries to give him directions, but he still crashed to the ground, barely managing to stay on his feet. His internal parasite screams a warning as a massive vortex of dark energy closes in, forcing him to block a relentless flurry of attacks that are pushing him to his absolute limit. Even the dragon admits it. At this rate, its power is about to run completely dry. Chinzei is totally on the ropes, bent over, struggling to even stand. With nothing left to lose, he decides it is time to go all in. One final move, his claws ignite with a surge of red and gold energy. Ready for a desperate gamble, he charges forward. He digs into the pavement to build up every bit of momentum. Channeling every last drop of power, his eyes start to glow. The dragon spirit manifests behind him, a massive, terrifying presence. He unleashes a huge spinning slash that carves a golden arc. It connects perfectly, sending the werewolf flying into a parked car. Civilians scramble for cover as the impact echoes through the street. As Chinzei catches his breath, the dragon smugly points out their coordination. He just smirks back. He wouldn't expect anything less from his partner. The werewolf cyborg is left embedded in the side of a truck. Local pedestrians stare, completely confused by the carnage. Chinzei glances back, probably thinking he has finally won this fight. Onlookers are stunned when he suddenly vanishes into thin air, leaving them wondering where their hero went. But the fight isn't over. Unfortunately, the werewolf drops from above like a ton of bricks. Our boy barely has time to register that his opponent is back. The beast is already right in his face, looking even more furious. Chinzei powers up his claws, sensing the werewolf is making a move. But the monster blurs into a streak of motion, moving impossibly fast. Chinzei realizes with dawning horror that he just attacked an afterimage. The real deal is standing right behind him, ready to end this. The werewolf locks him in a brutal chokehold from the back. Chinzei is completely restrained, and he is quickly running out of air. He knows he is about to lose consciousness while the beast grins. Desperate, he asks the spirit for the armor, but it is still offline. With his strength fading fast, this really looks like the end. The dragon spirit even starts its dramatic farewell speech. It is thanking him for the good times, a touching, if premature, goodbye. But suddenly, Chinzei's eyes snap open. He tells the parasite that the eulogy is a bit early. He promises the spirit they will be back for round 2. He makes one last desperate move. The dragon spirit even starts a dramatic farewell speech. It's thanking him for the good times, touching, sure, if a little premature. It's a sad goodbye for their brief partnership. But then, Chin's eyes snap open, and he tells his parasite that the eulogy is a bit early. He promises the spirit will be back for round 2. He makes one last desperate move, muttering some poetic nonsense about purify hearts and banishing evil. The entire room starts to violently shake apart. Turns out, that was the password to activate the shelter's massive isolation barrier. He drives his own super-powered claw straight into his chest. Even the dragon spirit is completely floored by this move. Stab yourself to win, the spirit calls the strategy a bit on the extreme side as it materializes in shock, but it works, letting Chinzei phase right through the werewolf's body. As the beast tries to bite, the cyborg's jaw snaps shut on empty air, missing him. And in that split second, our boy reappears right behind him, hand glowing with stolen power. His eyes are now blazing with blue energy. Looking like he has finally flipped the script, he tells The werewolf, it is time to end this fight for good. Turns out that claw is not just for show, it can sever the bond between a host and their parasite, so he plunges his hand straight into the cyborg's back, initiating a forced spiritual eviction. He remains completely focused as he pulls that dark energy out of the body. The beast writhes in agony as its power source is ripped away. The wolf's spirit cannot believe what is happening. Its connection is forcibly severed before it is violently ejected into the alley like a supernatural firework. That little purple wolf parasite is left floating there, totally vulnerable, and it immediately gets sucked right into Chinzei's eye. He's apparently collecting them now. With the fight over, the dragon spirit asks the obvious question: is he actually going to eat that thing? The spirit just gives him a look, probably rethinking this whole partnership, but Chinzei just brushes it off, saying he prefers human food. As he leaves the defeated cyborg behind, he casually strolls away from the scene like he did not just perform a back alley exorcism. Unfortunately for him, the cyborg's boss lands on a nearby rooftop, asking if the mission was a failure. This boss, a hulking dude with a literal cannon for an arm, says he was wondering the same thing. The now human werewolf frantically tells him to contact Captain Boo immediately. This confuses the big guy, who thought Captain Boo was the one who sent him here in the first place before. He shoves his cannon right in the poor guy's face. He declares the 9th District does not welcome him. With that ominous threat hanging in the air, the scene cuts away from the alleyway confrontation, shifting to a rain-slick skyscraper that is clearly some kind of high-tech headquarters. Inside, a blonde woman is getting briefed on the recent Spike in rogue symbiote attacks, and some sleazy-looking governor named Ming Liang is laying the praise on thick. She looks at all this flattery completely unimpressed, probably because she knows exactly what is coming next. A commander from the 9th District starts complaining that her team is operating on his turf. Apparently, the mission was just data collection on the parasite, but the commander still thinks mobilizing the entire security department for one small fry is overkill. Captain Boo is radiating pure energy that says she is surrounded by idiots. The governor then gives her a thinly veiled threat about not overstepping her boundaries. Commander Zhang then smugly mentions testing a new weapon the governor gave him. This clearly shocks Captain Boo, but the governor brushes her off. He claims her team is the priority, dangling a promotion. She is clearly biting back some choice words. Stuck in this political mess, she just announces duties to attend to and promptly walks out on them. This woman is radiating pure fury as she storms out. At that exact moment, she gets a call, probably more bad news. On the other end, Captain Boo tells her contact she will find their target, but it is going to cost double. Meanwhile, Chinzei is just trying to blend into a crowd. Suddenly, everyone's phone starts buzzing. Turns out, the entire city just went into an emergency state. His face is plastered on a wanted list. Someone casually taps his profile, pulling up all his dirty laundry, including his name, age, and identity as a host. His parasite smugly points out he is a celebrity now. Chinzei dryly thanks it for all the trouble. He gets a notification from a shady online forum, which immediately piques his interest. As a potential source, he opens the app hoping for answers. In this digital underground, this community board is basically a support group for people whose lives are being ruined by these parasites. After getting past the ridiculous mascot, the spirit explains, this place is a hub for intel. It is their best shot at survival now that they are officially on the run. Chinzei lays out his goal, find a rumored shelter and get this thing out of him for good. He sees a post about someone getting tracked and decides to power his phone down, but the dragon points out that is a rookie move. They can still be traced by cell towers. That is when he gets the feeling he walked into a trap. Sure enough, He is instantly surrounded by a squad of soldiers. With no way out, he lets the dark energy flow. Another fight kicks off as he shifts into his full armor right in the street. Glowing with pure power, he is ready to show these guys why he is on that list. The soldiers open fire, instantly throwing up some strange energy cube shields. Chinzei is unfazed, his armor shrugging off their initial barrage of spiky projectiles. He retaliates, launching a swarm of his own spinning golden discs. He weaves through their squad with ease, deflecting attacks like they are standing still. Within seconds, the entire team is left scattered across the crosswalk. Then a beefier soldier steps up, looks like the squad's last hope. He charges a massive energy cannon, aiming a concentrated blue beam at Chinzei's chest. Our guy just sidesteps it, moving like he is dodging a slow bus. The blast sails harmlessly into the street behind him. Before that soldier can process the miss, Chinzei is already in his face. He lands a slash that carves right through the guy's high-tech armor. Sending the soldier flying, he mutters that these guys are just annoying, not skilled. Escaping the scene, Chinzei makes his way toward a supposed safe house. He reaches a skyscraper, finding the place completely abandoned and dusty. Just as planned, his contact promised this spot was off the grid, a perfect place to disappear. He enters the main room and finds a figure waiting in a bright doorway. This new guy dramatically announces that this is the end of the line for Chinzei. It would be way more intimidating if he wasn't wearing bright green dinosaur slippers. He immediately ruins his cool entrance by asking if anyone feels something moving. The dragon spirit cryptically announces that his welcoming party has finally arrived. Watch this, the situation gets weird fast. A confused Chinzei is told to read a specific phrase out loud. He recites some poetic nonsense about purify hearts and banishing evil. The entire room starts to violently shake apart. Turns out, that was the password to activate the shelter's isolation barrier. The dusty old room transforms into a high-tech wizard's workshop. But the tour is cut short by a swarm of blue ghost things. They phase through the walls, pouring out from the floorboards. They surround the guy in the dinosaur slippers, who seems to be their target. As they latch on, he gets overwhelmed by the wave of little blue symbionts. He starts panicking, shouting that he cannot even breathe under the pressure. This dusty old room transforms into a high-tech wizard's workshop right before our eyes. But the tour gets cut short by a swarm of blue ghosts phasing through the walls. They pour out from the floorboards, surrounding the guy in the dino slippers. He seems to be their primary target as they latch right onto him. He's immediately overwhelmed by this wave of little blue symbionts. He starts panicking. He can't even breathe under all of that. Then, some shameless old hag shows up, and he grabs her by the collar. He boasts that these so-called masters aren't so tough after all. She just tells him to let go, and suddenly, her hand cracks with golden energy. It's clear he just made a colossal mistake. Even his own parasite is left speechless at his sheer audacity. A swarm of ghostly dogs pounces, and he fights like hell to shake them off. They keep piling on. He is spinning, completely lost in a wild blue vortex. Just then, a woman with white hair appears. Come as you please. She explains those spirits want his body, and Chinzei immediately goes on guard. He demands to know who she is. She just coolly comments on how tough it really is being a symbiote host, but her act falls apart. The cool girl vibe is ruined when she trips and faceplants hard. Now she is just crying on the floor, admitting her midair moves suck. Chinzei completely misses the moment. He assumes she is a government agent. He lunges to attack, while the other guy tries to shout that she is friendly. This white-haired woman gives him a look that could freeze fire. She is clearly unimpressed with his pathetic entrance. Then, the guy in slippers uses a gravity technique to flip Chinzei. Old boy is left paralyzed. He cannot fight back against that force. He gets tossed across the room like a rag doll, heading straight for her. She stops him effortlessly with one hand, asking why he is trashing her home. The slipper-wearing guy frantically tries to explain it is all a misunderstanding. But Sister Ching just grabs Chinzei's parasite arm instantly shutting it down. She pins him to the floor with a single foot just to make a point. Meanwhile, her friend finally breaks free from the ghosts, gasping for air. Sister Ching starts talking straight to the dragon spirit. Chinzei finally realizes she is a host too. The other guy whispers that she is a century-old martial arts master. He says she deserves serious respect, but Chinzei ignores that completely. This guy has never respected anyone, so he tries to attack her anyway. She lifts him off the ground by his arm like he weighs nothing. Pay attention, here is where things get really bad for him. She calls his body a tender vessel that would make a perfect servant. Her generous offer, he can stay, provided he becomes her personal maid. Chinzei is obviously not thrilled about the prospect of doing chores. She just smirks, reminding him that he has no choice in the matter. Even his own parasite tells him to swallow his pride. They have zero leverage here. So naturally, Chinzei calls her a shameless old hag and grabs her collar. He boasts that these so-called masters aren't actually that tough. She tells him to let go, voice calm but dangerous. Her hand cracks with golden energy. He just made a massive mistake. Even his parasite is speechless at the sheer, insane audacity on display. With a single, almost lazy-looking chop, Sister Ching strikes. With a single, almost lazy chop, Sister Ching shuts him down. Now a screen starts ringing, attracting all the local wildlife. That glowing light on the riverbed acts like a beacon for something lurking nearby. A monstrous, fish-like creature darts through the water, heading straight for the sound. And it turns out to be some guy in goggles. You won't believe how this guy handles the situation. She slams his face straight into the ground. Chinzei is in total shock. He can barely look up, stunned he got taken down so easily. She just stares him down, completely unimpressed by his little outburst. Before he can even react, she grabs him by his jacket. Time for a lesson in respect. But our boy, he never learns. Ever the diplomat, he decides the best move is to insult her. He calls her an old witch, and yeah, that goes about as well as you think. One-way ticket to getting dangled helplessly in the air. She's dead calm, telling him he needs to face reality. All hosts end up here eventually, she warns. She tells him he'll have to beg for mercy if he wants forgiveness. The dragon spirit inside him is panicking, trying to de-escalate. But Chinzei is having none of it. He's done talking. He powers up, screaming about this unbearable humiliation. His arm transforms into a massive claw, and he takes a wild swing. She just sidesteps him. Go rot on your own, she says. With a casual flick of her wrist, she launches him through the window. He goes flying straight out of the clock tower. Down below, a squad of guards has no clue what's coming. Chinzei crashes into them, creating a massive pile of armor and bodies. He sits up in the wreckage, complaining about his rotten luck. Dealing with century-old lunatics is really not his thing. His parasite pipes up, he just really ticked off their only hope. That palm strike wasn't just a hit, it was a beacon for all symbiotes. She's strong enough to rip them apart, the parasite reveals. But this gives Chinzei a wild, brilliant idea. Maybe this old lady is his ticket back to a normal life. The slipper guy awkwardly chimes in that Sister Ching is usually way nicer. Chinzei decides his new mission is to suck it up and win her over. He's going to earn her trust, no matter what it takes. But his first problem, he realizes he lost his wallet in the brawl. He's left with literally just a handful of coins to his name. He tries his phone for a quick solution, desperate for any help. Dead tone, nothing but silence. Turns out the government already restricted his identity. Every connection he had, every tie, has been cut off. The dragon spirit tells him to memorize a string of numbers. Before he does anything drastic, they need a plan. Shady agents are already patrolling the streets, looking for him. He knows the phone is a tracking device. He has to ditch it. Chinzei decides it's time to say goodbye. He gives it a dramatic send-off and tosses it into the river. It splashes into the water, finally severing the last link to his old life. It sinks into the dark, murky depths. You can feel the tension building. He's officially on his own now. He's not even sweating it as the beast gets closer. Honestly, he's either the bravest person here or completely out of his mind. Let's see if he can actually pull this off. Everything is about to get way more complicated. A fishman snatches a phone right out of the air, just like that. Meanwhile, some sleazy guy stumbles out of a host club looking for trouble. A pink-haired maid with cat ears meets him with a sugary, suspicious smile. She welcomes him in, wasting no time shaking up a glowing, magical drink. It is painfully obvious this guy's night is about to take a weird turn. She tries to mix his cocktail, but stumbles over the magic words halfway through. The sleazy patron thinks her spell just fizzled out like a dud. He invites her to sit down and try again, totally oblivious to the trap. But she is only smiling through the harassment because of her crushing debt. She owes the cafe owner everything, a real mountain of cash to pay off. As the dude gets way too close for comfort, her patience finally snaps. She hands him his drink, but not the way he was expecting. She smashes the bottle right over his head. Total chaos. The guy's bodyguard and another maid just stand there, stunned by the sudden violence. Her co-workers scramble, desperately trying to apologize for the mess she just made. The bodyguard starts barking at her, furious about her attitude and the broken glass. Fed up with the whole circus, she storms off into a dark alley. That is when her boss calls, screaming at her for the stunt she pulled. This maid, Heisha, is already on thin ice after that outburst. The boss reminds her this is strike two against a major client, Hyun. He is threatening her job, but Heisha is not even listening. She just sees this guy Hyun as a juicy, brand new target. She agrees to make amends, her eyes suddenly glowing with a dangerous purple light. That purple spark reveals her true, terrifying nature hidden beneath the maid outfit. Cloaked in a strange aura, she heads back to finish the job properly. She returns to her sweet maid act, playing the part perfectly. But Ken tells her to forget the drink and just stay by his side. He gets handsy, making the exact mistake she was waiting for. She tells him he ruined her spell, blowing a thick cloud of magic smoke. Instantly, he is mesmerized, his mind completely under her control. He starts drooling, dazedly asking her to come away with him later. Heisha agrees, flashing him a smile that is purely predatory. They head to a high-end building marked by a massive, glowing heart sign. As he carries her inside, a shadowy observer watches from the darkness. Someone has been trailing Heisha this whole time, tracking her every move. The sweet maid act drops, revealing a monstrous spirit with a grudge against perverts. She has no patience for creeps, and Kyun is about to find that out. He realizes he messed with the wrong part-timer, his scream cut short. With zero hesitation, she lands a precise, brutal chop to his neck. He hits the floor like a sack of bricks, completely knocked out cold. Heisha stands over him, her work here finished, breathing steady and calm. Purple energy swirls around Heisha as she looms over him, her symbiote coiled and ready. Her first move, naturally, she starts digging through his wallet. She doesn't find much cash, and honestly, she looks totally unimpressed. Then she spots his ID. Turns out, he isn't some big-shot criminal. He's just a low-level agent for the Security Bureau. All that work for a government schmuck. She's seriously disappointed by the payout. Rummaging through his pockets, she pulls out his official work device. Suddenly, she stumbles onto a pending bounty notification. It's for none other than Chinzei. She instantly recognizes him from their college days. Her eyes widen at that massive price on his head. Meanwhile, our boy is stuck in a dark alley trying to make a call from a payphone. He's venting. He's already called everyone he knows, and they've all ghosted him. He's down to his last few coins. That's his entire net worth, just rattling around in his hand. His parasite asks what he's planning to do with that final coin. After a moment of heavy silence and total desperation, he finally has an idea. He takes a shaky breath, bracing himself for one last gamble. He starts punching in that mysterious string of numbers the dragon's spirit gave him. Far away, in an employee dorm, a phone starts ringing over a running sink. Heisha is the one who picks up. Little does she know, she's holding a 120,000 coin reason to listen. She answers, completely oblivious to the massive payday calling her right now. On the other end, Chinzei introduces himself, looking way too relieved that it connected. That name instantly clicks for her. She remembers him from a club back in their college days. A quick flashback shows their past interactions, and she wonders why he's calling from an unknown number. He gives a super casual excuse about his phone taking a swim. She plays along, pretending to believe him. Internally, she is celebrating. Her little fishing expedition is officially on track. His parasite thinks their old friendship is a great foundation to build on. But get this, he is totally missing the vibe. Chinzei immediately tells his inner dragon to shut up before he blows his cover. After that outburst, he quickly explains he's on a payphone and needs to be fast. He cuts right to the chase, asking for help. Heisha realizes her golden opportunity has finally arrived. Our boy lays out his whole sob story about losing his wallet and phone in the chaos. He's desperate, begging for a loan because he's broke and stuck in her city. He has no idea what he's walking into. A sudden outburst reveals the hidden observer, blowing his cover completely. He ducks onto a payphone, frantically keeping things short and sweet. He cuts right to the chase, begging for help, and Heisha realizes something. Her golden opportunity has finally arrived, and he begins his sob story. He's totally spiraling, lost his phone and his wallet in that earlier mess. Now he's desperate, begging for a loan because he's stranded in her city. But that is not the real plan. He's got something much darker coming. The goal is simple. Use the cash to earn Sister Ching's trust. Heisha connects the dots, but she decides her own money problems come first. Her plan is pretty straightforward. Meet him, snag the bounty advance, and finally be free. She confirms she's in the city, ready to pull off her little scheme. To escape that soul-crushing job, she agrees to lend him the cash. But she slyly asks how a wanted man plans to actually collect it. He promises he won't drag her into it, suggesting a simple dead drop. Still, her parasite feels like something is way off here. She sets the time and place, a quiet warehouse district, which is definitely not suspicious at all, right? Before she can add anything else, the line goes dead. She's left there, just staring at her phone in pure surprise. Chinzei slams the receiver down, his last coin and last hope officially gone. Back at her place, Heisha just hopes he doesn't get caught. They both have their own goals, after all. His parasite then hits him with the obvious question, why not call his parents? Turns out, his childhood was just constant criticism and feeling like he was never enough. He learned pretty early on to never confide in them. Even asking them for help makes him feel guilty. With tears in his eyes, he admits he just cannot bring himself to be a burden. With nowhere else to go, he finds a spot to crash for the night under a bridge. The next morning, he wakes up feeling less than refreshed. Those 5-star bridge accommodations really didn't do much for his back. Spending the night with local vagrants is a new low, even for him. And his day gets even better when he realizes they tied him up while he slept. They cheerfully explain they're turning him in for the bounty money. Everyone needs a payday, right? Chinzei is, to put it mildly, absolutely disgusted by this betrayal. Their leader just shrugs it off. They are just trying to survive, and the cops are coming. But as his eyes glow gold, Chinzei makes it clear they severely underestimated their target. He flexes, and the thick ropes shatter with a sudden surge of raw power. This blast of energy sends the would-be bounty hunters flying, completely caught off guard. With his parasite fully manifested, he calls this his little morning stretch. He's ready for round 2. Undeterred, the guys grab whatever pipes and sticks they can find to take him down. One of them charges in with a desperate battle cry. He swings a wooden plank with all his might. It immediately shatters against the dragon's armored head. Bounty hunters descend on him, but they are caught completely off guard. His parasite fully manifests, shifting his form as he calls this his morning stretch. Ready for round 2, he stands undeterred while the thugs scramble. They grab whatever pipes and sticks they can find, hoping to take him down. One of them charges in, letting out a desperate battle cry. He swings a wooden plank with everything he has, but it hits like nothing. The wood immediately shatters against the dragon's armored, hardened head. With zero effort, he slams his makeshift weapon down. It actually cracks the dragon's armor a surprisingly solid hit. That lucky shot gives the crew a sudden, misplaced burst of confidence. They swarm him, but Chinzei just unleashes a whirlwind of claws. Energy erupts, sending them all flying back in a messy heap. Their big, burly leader decides it is time to step in personally. He charges forward, face set in a look of pure, stubborn determination. He swings his giant hammer with everything he's got, full force. But Chinzei just intercepts it, calm as ever, and shatters it. The weapon breaks into a million pieces, fight over one blow. The vagrants are already on their knees, begging for their lives. He just asks for directions to the port and leaps away, leaving those terrified men alone to contemplate their poor life choices. Unfortunately, a little girl spots his monstrous form from nearby. She starts screaming about the bad guy at the top of her lungs. That alerts some local agents, and they immediately give chase. Caught, Chinzei dives straight into the river to make his escape. Deep in the murky water, he runs into that goggle-wearing fishman. The guy wordlessly points toward a nearby sewer entrance, offering a route. Chinzei slips into the tunnels, and his parasite suggests laying low. But right then, a buzzing security drone rounds the corner. His inner dragon identifies it as a new security bureau toy. It confirms the government is actively patrolling the sewers for him. The parasite urges him to revert to human form to save energy. That is when Chinzei learns his new powers have a battery life. Turns out the host and spirit share the exact same energy pool. That is why he has not felt hungry this whole time. Chinzei asks if spirits eat each other, and his parasite confirms it. It is a total dog-eat-dog world out there. The dragon explains that weaker spirits just absorb ambient energy. They do that until they find a human host to possess. Those who fail just become lunch for the bigger, meaner spirits. Our boy dryly notes that sounds a lot like regular human society. Watch closely, his parasite tries to romanticize the whole situation. It compares finding a host to finding the perfect life partner. But Chinzei is absolutely grossed out, wanting to be human. He has no intention of shackling himself to a monster. The dragon then reminds him of the time he saved it. Chinzei admits he remembers that small, flying squirrel thing. A quick flashback shows him deep in research on Chiwang City. He is digging through forums about the security bureau's shady practices. Finally, he settles in to watch a leaked video testimony. It is the missing piece of the puzzle he has been chasing. Every detail in that recording makes the government look even worse. He knows now they have been hiding the truth for years. It's from an old man, someone brutally experimented on. Even after the Bureau's agents supposedly cured him, his body is giving up. He's dying from the after effects now. This comment section, it's a total war zone sympathy, anti-government rage, and pure hate for heteromorphs. Seeing all that, young Chinzei seriously reconsiders his planned trip. But the ticket's already bought and paid for. With a heavy sigh, he just leans back, deciding to go through with it anyway. Turns out Chiwang City is a weird, abandoned enclave now. It's co-run by both humans and heteromorphs. The big draw, though, the jobs there pay double. That's all he needed to hear. The old man's video ends with a grim warning to other heteromorphs: never trust the Bureau. Back in the present, Chinzei arrives at the desolate Miracle Park. He's searching for the port for his meetup. The whole place is a wasteland of shattered monuments and floating rocks. It looks completely abandoned, so he decides to get a better view. No point in just wandering aimlessly through these ruins. His eyes land on a massive, broken statue. There's some kind of inscription at the base, he brushes away the dust, revealing the monument's ancient writing. It identifies the figure as the mother goddess of creation. A relic thousands of years old, his parasite explains it all. Apparently, humans digging for relics caused the statue to collapse. That collapse triggered the rift event. Chinzei has absolutely no idea what that means. But just hearing the word rift, it triggers a strange resonance. The ruins start to hum. Suddenly, a vision of a cosmic tear unleashes a gateway for spirits. This memory hits Chinzei like a truck. His head splits with agonizing pain. He and his parasite are both screaming in unison. They're reliving a traumatic shared memory. The dragon spirit remembers its past life on a vibrant, otherworldly plane, a time when it was caught in a massive battle between the so-called strongest beasts on Earth. This flashback is pure chaos, a free-for-all. All kinds of spirits are tearing each other apart. Chinzei sees it all through the parasite's eyes. He realizes it was once just a tiny, boar-like creature. It's fighting a desperate battle against a much larger sky wolf. His current dragon form is yelling at its past self, screaming to fight back and reclaim what's theirs. But those tiny claws are completely useless against the wolf. The little guy gets absolutely rocked by a powerful counterattack, sent flying through the air despite his size. Despite their differences, they're somehow locked in a dead-even match. A clash of pure will, and at that exact moment, the sky shatters. A massive rift tears open above them, and a powerful force starts, sucking all the spirits into the vortex, including the two fighters. This parasite explains they were all pulled into the void, helpless, completely unable to resist that terrifying pull. The dragon explains they were summoned to punish relic thieves, but they mutated into monsters in this world and in this vision. A giant boar-like beast is shown absolutely crushing one of the workers. Now Chinzei is reliving a past life as a miner, naively determined to accomplish something important. Someone screams at him to run, a desperate warning. He seems completely deaf to it. A moment later, a massive foot descends to turn him into a fine paste, and it does so with spectacular, if messy, efficiency. This kicked off a massive war between the beasts and humans. Entire villages got wiped out. The human defenders drove off the thieves but failed to protect the very resources they were guarding. Meanwhile, the bad guys just drive off with their loot, mission accomplished. Then the rift suddenly closed, trapping all the ancient beasts on Earth for good. With their only way home sealed off, they were officially stuck in a hostile world. That human leader from the vision just gives up, dying among the ruins. Of his failure, Chinzei's past self meets a similarly grim end. His body is torn apart in the chaos, and his spirit rises from the corpse, bummed he didn't even get to say any cool last words. And his afterlife immediately gets worse as other, meaner spirits move in for a snack. Turns out, all the ancient beasts also became spirits after their physical bodies failed. The dragon clarifies they could not adapt to the world's air, so they just became energy beings. Back in the present, Chinzei is screaming, absorbing some glowing core. That triggered the memory. He's taking in all that raw power. His face is a mask of pure agony and concentration. This vision finally ends, leaving him stumbling away from the statue. He's completely drained. The dragon explains that they were all locked away in some dark space until a massive explosion finally set them free. Turns out, it tried possessing other hosts before, but every single one of them violently rejected it. That is when it met a boy named Chinzei, who offered it a lifeline. When it was at its weakest, Chinzei asks the obvious question, why is the Bureau hunting it? But the dragon clarifies they are. After all host spirits, apparently the Bureau's top mission is to eliminate the Crimson. The Emperor and his family get a direct order from King Tia. And our boy, he actually recognizes that name from the forums. That's the supposed true master of Crimson Emperor City. Meanwhile, a blonde agent stalks through the ruins. She senses a gate to another realm. Buried deep down, This is brand new info for the parasite, who is furious that Kingja kept these passages quiet. Chinzei AI realizes his new friend has been keeping secrets, but he tables that for now, laser-focused on the port. He spots Bearman port in the distance. His rendezvous point is finally in sight, but as he nears it, he gets hit by a mental assault. Suddenly, he's facing an impossible choice. This blonde agent, Bufang, is taunting him for trusting a monster, offering the Bureau's help through a needle in his mind. Ghostly hands try to rip the dragon away, while it promises to respect to whatever he decides. He is clearly in total agony, fighting a battle in his own head as Bufang waits for him to break. But out of nowhere, Heisha arrives on the scene, screaming for everyone to stop. She's yelling directly at Chinzei AI too. Snap out of it, trying to shatter the illusion. Her voice cuts through the fog like a beacon of light. Amidst all the psychic chaos, Chinzei AI reaches for his parasite. He refuses to let them be taken. Bufang just sneers that it is too late, then lunges forward with her syringe for the final blow. At that exact moment, a massive surge of golden energy erupts from Chinzai's body. This shockwave sends Bufang flying. Her syringe goes tumbling uselessly through the air, while her armored goons get absolutely blasted back by the sheer force of his transformation. It leaves the agent completely stunned. Her perfect plan just went up in smoke. Even Heisha, still held captive, cannot believe what she is seeing. Chinzei AI, now rocking a sleek new armored form, vows he is not giving up his parasite. That is a development Bufang clearly did not see coming. The dragon explains this is their second form awakening, a perfect bond of their beliefs. And our boy, he can feel the power coursing through him. A true fusion of man and monster. Bufang can only watch in horror, realizing her target just evolved right in front of her. That's when Heisha tearfully confesses she is the informant who sold him out for her freedom. Bufang mocks their pathetic little drama, while Heisha complains her powers do not work on robots. Chinzei AI is just trying to figure out the controls on his brand new superpowered body. Having seen enough, Bufang recovers and screams at her men to bring him down. So Chinzei AI decides to start right. He closes the distance in a flash, forcing their hand. The goons open fire, a barrage of bright blue energy blasts. But he's moving at blinding speed, weaving through the chaos. He dodges every shot like they're standing still. Those men can't even lock on. They're screaming warnings about his speed, completely panicking now. One guy decides he needs a backup plan fast. He pulls out a sphere, grabs Heisha, and gags her tight, straight to the hostage play. But Chinzei doesn't even blink. He gracefully leaps over another attack, totally unfazed. Now Chinzei gets to test out this new form for real. He lands precise, brutal strikes on those Bureau goons. Then he casually charges up a massive blast in his gauntlet. He unleashes it, a devastating wave of pure, raw power. The soldier holding Heisha can only stare in total disbelief. Chinzei's new armor plating, it's proving to be practically indestructible. Bufang is absolutely furious. She screams for maximum firepower. Her men unload a coordinated barrage of shots right at him. The blast is massive, completely obliterating a nearby warehouse. But look up, a new player is watching from a rooftop. He's carrying a giant anchor, just enjoying the spectacle below. He reports to his boss, sounding tempted to join the party. On the other end, a cold-hearted man gives a brutal order: capture Chinzei's spirit and kill everyone else in sight. This boss is seriously ticked off about the fight in his territory. He decides it's time to step in personally. Down on the ground, the thick smoke begins to clear. A very shocked Bufang stares at the center of the blast. Heisha, still gagged and captured, looks on with wide-eyed terror. But Chinzei stands there completely unscathed, testing his new body. He cracks a confident smirk. Now, it's finally his turn. He instantly closes the distance on that final armored goon. The guy swings a massive cannon fist straight for his head. Chinzei just vaults over it, making the attack look laughably slow. His glowing eyes are already calculating his next move. The last goon is still clinging to Heisha, his only play. But Chinzei isn't letting them get away with his friend. He parries their clumsy strikes with his armored claws. He even blocks a spiked mace with his forearm, unfazed. Another soldier tries a new tactic, whipping out a heavy chain. Chinzei doesn't hesitate. He snatches it right out of the air. He parries their clumsy strikes with those newly formed, razor-sharp claws. He doesn't even flinch, blocking a spiked mace directly with his armored forearm. Unfazed by the impact, he prepares to wipe the floor with these guys. Another soldier tries a different tactic, whipping out a heavy chain weapon. Our boy just reaches out and snatches the weapon right out of the air. He stops the attack cold, surrounded, as they demand his surrender. A request he finds hilarious, holding two goons at bay. He turns their own weapons against them in a heartbeat. Then he gives one goon a brutal tour of the ceiling, before slamming him into the concrete with absolute authority. Another goon just starts blasting, hoping something finally connects. He forces his own teammate holding Heisha to dive away. It is pure, chaotic friendly fire right in the crosshairs. Fed up with the total incompetence on display, Buffon intervenes. With a flying kick, she is clearly furious at them. Having to do her subordinates' jobs for them is grating. She delivers a devastating blow right to her soldier's head, knocking him out cold, sending him flying across the battlefield. Heisha is finally free, though probably more traumatized than ever. Even Chinzei has to admit that was some impressive strength. Chinzei immediately clocks that Buffon has been hiding her power. Though her arrogance is seriously grating, she tries to play diplomat. She warns him that brute force only hurts everyone around. Using Heisha as a prime example, she is transparently stalling. It is a cheap trick our boy sees right through. Now watch this, the fight just took a dark turn. At that exact moment, one defeated armored goon starts stirring, slowly pulling itself together as its systems reboot after that. Our boy realizes with dawning horror these machines never quit. They are literally coming back to life before his eyes. With her backup restored, Chinzei refuses to let her pass. Heisha still owes him for the betrayal. He reminds her, giving her one last chance. He warns she picked wrong. Buffon just scoffs, claiming the parasite has scrambled his brain. She insists she is only trying to help him out, painting a grim picture of his future as a fugitive. Capturing him is just a stepping stone to District 11. So she offers him a job, promising to pull strings. She asks him to join her, smug as can be, like she has already won the whole game right now. Chinzei just stares back, completely unmoved by her corporate pitch. Meanwhile, Heisha is screaming at him not to fall for it. Knowing Buffon is just a power-hungry narcissist at heart, he wishes he could see how their words ruined lives. Lives in the slums are nothing to them, he knows. You and I both know he will never take this deal. Our boy just scoffs at the idea of cooperating now. Buffon impatiently demands his final answer, still overly confident. She waits for him to sign his life away today, and Chinzei gives it to her a flat, cold refusal. Working with these sanctimonious hypocrites finally makes her smug expression shatter. She is completely stunned that he actually turned her down. Buffon has totally lost her composure, screaming for her men to capture him. Immediately, the freshly rebooted androids swarm forward, their chain maces ready for round 2. Just as they attack, the anchor-wielding maniac from the rooftop crashes the party. He immediately announces that Chinzei AI is his personal prize. Everyone else, they can just get lost, he tells them. His landing sends a massive shockwave, scattering the Bureau forces like bowling pins. Chinzei AI barely manages to block the enormous anchor swinging his way. This new guy just grins, winding up for another devastating attack. Our boy catches it, though the sheer force is clearly staggering him. A brutal kick sends him flying backward, smashing through a stack of crates. Now watch this, the chaos is only getting started. Heisha watches in terror, trying to scream his name through her gag. Meanwhile, Bu Feng is completely bewildered as this new crew dismantles her squad. The anchor comes down with terrifying speed, obliterating one of the androids. A single brutal strike, and it is just gone. The newcomer formally warns Bu Feng that Chinzei AI is his prey. He says interference has consequences, leaving her stunned and realizing something. This is not just some random thug who wandered into the fight. Chinzei AI gets back on his feet, immediately clashing with one of the subordinates. The big boss taunts him about his claws while the brawl continues. Heisha desperately tries to warn him of an attack, but it is too late. A heavy blow connects squarely with the side of his head. He is driven to his knees, completely vulnerable to the anchor swinging above. His attacker gloats about how much trouble it was to track him down. Finding him through the 9th district was not easy, he claims. Chinzei AI barely catches the anchor, the sheer force cracking the concrete underfoot. He furiously demands to know who the hell this new psycho even is. Another swing sends him flying backward before he can get an answer. This newcomer introduces himself as a hunter sent to collect the commodity inside. Then he adds, with a deeply unsettling grin, that he might just eat it. It finally clicks for Chinzei AI. This maniac is from the Hunter Guild. Bu Feng's team can only watch as the hunter taunts Chinzei AI. He explains the high price tag on our boy. His guild is full of elites, and they are here to collect. The goon is furious, demanding to know who this absolute psycho even is. A single swing sends him flying backward before he can get an answer. This newcomer finally introduces himself as a hunter on a specific mission. He was sent to collect the high-level commodity hidden inside our boy. Then, with a deeply unsettling grin, he adds that he might just eat it instead. It finally clicks for Chinzei. This maniac is clearly from the infamous Hunter Guild. Bu Feng's team watches in horror as the hunter taunts Chinzei about his price tag. He explains that his guild is crawling with elites, and they want him dead. Bounty hunters closing in for Bu Feng. This is an absolute disaster. Her shot at becoming District 11 commander is slipping right through her fingers. She flashes back her once powerful family, everything lost when her father defied them. She's dead set on reclaiming that power, to restore the family legacy, no matter the cost. Back in the fight, Chinzei and the hunter are a total blur. High-speed attacks, bone-rattling parries. Bu Feng's subordinate reminds her they still have Heisha as their only bargaining chip. So she makes the call. Let the two powerhouses beat each other senseless. Then she just pick off the winner. This hunter, he's having the time of his life. Swinging that massive anchor, laughing like a total maniac. Chinzei counters, a desperate, frantic flurry of slashes from his armored claws. Their battle lights up the warehouse, purple and yellow energy clashing violently, but the hunter's raw strength is just overwhelming. He lands a solid hit on our guy, follows it up with a brutal upward swing that connects square with Chinzei's chest, launches him straight through the warehouse roof and out into the open sky. But Chinzei doesn't just fall. He uses that momentum to dive toward the docks. The hunter is annoyed. His new toy is trying to slip away. He spots our boy on a lower level, taunting him, saying there is nowhere left to hide. But Chinzei isn't running. He's repositioning for his real objective. The hunter just scoffs, calling him a weakling, and gives chase across the rooftops. Turns out, Chinzei spotted Bu Feng's squad. He realizes his one chance to grab Heisha is right now. Bu Feng and her crew look up, completely blindsided. He appears right above them on a container. She figures out his plan instantly and screams a warning to the goon holding Heisha. Too late. Chinzei is already a blur of motion, snatching Heisha right out of the soldier's grasp. In one fluid movement, she's completely stunned to be rescued. Oh, guy is all business, though. Just then, the hunter crashed the party again. Dives down from above with a triumphant yell. The battlefield erupts, a chaotic three-way brawl as everyone scrambles for their target. Bufang's brilliant soldiers decide the best move is to start blasting wildly at Chinzei. She screams at them to cease fire, don't hit their only bargaining chip. The hunter is furious at the interference, smashes one of the androids with his anchor. He lands with enough force to make it clear he is absolutely done playing nice. Now another one of the Bureau's goons is in his crosshairs. He lands with enough force to show everyone he is done playing nice. Another of the Bureau's goons tries to close in on him. Bufang takes a direct hit from that heavy anchor for getting in the way. Frustrated, she stomps right on her own downed android's head. She's decided that if you want a job done, you do it yourself. Kicking her own subordinates into scrap metal, she is absolutely fuming. Her promotion is being hijacked, and she's not letting it slide. Bufang charges the hunter, her own weapons drawn and ready. But that anchor-wielding psycho just watches her approach, completely unconcerned. She unleashes a rapid-fire series of baton strikes, trying to overwhelm him. She's banking on pure speed to break his guard. He just blocks the barrage with his bare arms like he's swatting flies. Her determined face is reflected in his goggles as she hunts for an opening. She manages to land a couple of solid hits, but they do absolutely nothing. This hunter just grunts, clearly unimpressed by her best efforts. He casually stops one of her strikes cold, catching the baton with 2 fingers. Then he forces her to leap back with a devastating swing of his weapon. Her next desperate block is met with a simple punch. It stops her dead in her tracks. Bufang lets out a frustrated battle cry, pouring every last bit of strength into the fight. She lands a powerful kick squarely against the side of his head. He only stumbles for a moment before he is swinging that anchor again. She barely ducks under the attack. The sheer force of it whips past her hair, rattling her to the core. Her attempt to block the weapon shaft is straining her to the absolute limit. With some impressive agility, she vaults off his anchor to create some breathing room. This hunter actually compliments her skill before adding it is a shame she is not his target. He has completely lost interest in her. He announces he can already smell his real prey. Chinzei is panicked, so Bufang immediately orders her remaining soldiers to chase after him. Up above, Chinzei tells a guilt-ridden Heisha to forget the apologies and focus on escaping. Our boy shoves a giant spiked club into Heisha's hands for some last-minute self-defense. She realizes the weapon was originally for him, but apparently he is feeling overconfident. He bolts for an exit, leaving a very unathletic Heisha struggling to keep up. But the sound of impossibly fast footsteps echoes through the alleyway, right on their tail. Pay attention, his enhanced senses immediately lock onto the incoming threat. He knows they have been followed. Chinzei screams at her to get out of the way because the hunter is already there. With a maniacal laugh, the anchor swings down when everything goes dark. But the hunter is feeling overconfident, so he bolts toward the exit. He leaves a very unathletic Heisha struggling to keep up behind him. Then the sound of impossibly fast footsteps echoes through the narrow alleyway. They are right on their tail, and there is nowhere left to run. His enhanced senses immediately lock onto the incoming threat. He knows they have been followed. There is no shaking this guy off. Chinzei screams at her to move, because the hunter is already closing in. With a maniacal laugh, the hunter readies his final move. Wielding psycho drops from the sky, ready for round 2. He lands with such force the concrete craters beneath him. Without a single wasted beat, he plows straight ahead. He smashes Chinzei into a nearby container. A brutal clash. The parasite warns Chinzei they are sinking fast, reaching a new state. It urges him to concentrate and finally tap into his true power. He has to overcome this maniac, or it is all over. Chinzei focuses his energy, his armor starting to glow. With a burst of purple light, he fires a massive wave. The hunter sidesteps it, his anchor obliterating the ground behind him. From the sidelines, Heisha just stares, completely stunned by the scale. She realizes just how outclassed they truly are in this fight. But then, a blonde woman from the hunter crew appears behind her. She targets Heisha as a bargaining chip, ordering her android to strike. The girl is caught completely off guard by the sudden move. The blonde woman mocks her, sneering at her weak human form. But Hasha stands her ground, defiant, her true name finally revealed, Haley. She taps into a hidden, dormant power deep inside. Her eyes flare yellow while strange energy crackles to life around her. It is clear she is way more than she appears to be. The blonde woman is left visibly stunned by this sudden change. She never expected this kind of power from such a girl. Baffled, the woman wonders if Haley might be a powerful sorcerer. But she quickly realizes this cloning ability is something far stranger. It is not typical magic, and Haley confirms it with a glare. Even as the androids struggle to hold her, she stays focused. A voice in her head urges her to remember her training. Think back to the last time she tapped into this surge. The truth finally clicks for the hunter. Haley is an aberrant. Just like their main target, she was part of their experiments. With a grim flash of memory, Haley knows exactly what comes next. While her opponent gloats about stealing Haley's spirit for a promotion, Haley decides she has heard enough and unleashes everything she has. A spiritual ball flares to life as she launches her attack. Suddenly, the androids are swarmed by an entire squad of clones. The hunter is left breathless, watching the chaos unfold. The newly formed Haley army calmly tells the blonde that it is over. Unfazed, the woman scoffs, saying Chinzei cannot save her now. She steels herself, preparing to fight back against the cloning onslaught. And speaking of which, our guy is busy dodging for his life. That anchor-wielding hunter is keeping up a relentless, terrifying assault. He lands a brutal punch, sending Chinzei careening across the warehouse. Their high-speed battle is tearing the entire facility apart at the seams. Debris is flying everywhere as the warehouse begins to buckle. The parasite explains this is merely his new enhanced form in action. His sensory powers are finally kicking in right when it matters most. Great timing! That hunter is already dropping a massive shipping container on him. This new ability lets him predict every single move before it even happens. He effortlessly slips past another one of the hunter's devastating punches. He finds the perfect opening and lands a vicious counterattack in the gut. His armored fist glows, and he connects with a solid, powerful blow. Chinzei unleashes a brutal combo, overwhelming the hunter with high-speed strikes. The big guy actually cries out in pain as his goggles shatter. With the parasite's power surging, our boy demands an end to the bloodshed. He launches a massive spinning slash that sends his opponent flying across the docks. The hunter crashed to the ground, looking completely and utterly defeated. For once, our boy smugly tells him that his claws aren't his only trick. Barely conscious, the hunter admits he has seen the power of an aberrant. Then he adds, with a chilling grin, that everyone here is about to die. Yellow energy starts crackling around his body as he laughs like a psycho. Turns out the Hunter Guild has a rule: if you die, you take your target down too. Meanwhile, the blonde woman is handily dismantling Haley's clones nearby. Completely unaware of this, Chinzei senses the energy shift and leaps away. Now a living bomb, the hunter screams that there is no escape. From a rooftop, Chinzei spots the other hunter and yells out to flee. The psycho below becomes a blinding sphere of unstable, crackling power. In a split-second decision, he swoops down to grab the blonde woman. Her name is Lucas, and the entire dock erupts into a massive fiery explosion. That blast vaporizes everything in sight, leaving nothing behind but ruin. Watch this, the shockwave rumbles across the water, forming a mushroom cloud. A new commander appears, coolly noting the old fool failed his mission. He actually praises Buffon for his heroic sacrifice, showing no real remorse. He orders his squad to hunt down Lucas and Chinzei, dead or alive. It is all about securing his own promotion now. As the dust from the self-destruct sequence finally begins to settle down, Lucas and Haley emerge from the rubble, somehow still in one piece. Chinzei took the full brunt of the blast to shield them from death. The air below becomes a blinding sphere of crackling and stable power. In a split-second decision, he swoops down and grabs the blonde woman. Her name is apparently Lucas, and she is the only thing he cares about. The entire dock erupts in a massive, fiery explosion that vaporizes everything. From a safe distance, the shockwave rumbles across the dark water. A massive mushroom cloud rises, leaving only smoke and ash behind. A new commander appears, coolly noting the old fool failed his mission. He even mocks Bufang for that supposed heroic sacrifice. He orders his own squad to hunt down Lucas and Chinzei, dead or alive. It is all about securing his own promotion at any cost. As the dust from the self-destruct sequence settles, Lucas and Heisha emerge. He somehow crawls from the rubble in one piece. Chinzei took the full brunt of that blast to shield them. He's hanging on by a thread, trapped in a dark, suffocating prison. A blindfolded man swings from massive, rusted iron chains. They've tortured him for secrets, but he hasn't cracked once. A blue-haired woman watches him, her stare ice cold. She tells him he's being offered up to a river god for being weak. The prisoner is horrified. He realizes this terrifying force is real. And just like that, it's actually here in their world. A glowing, massive tentacle lashes out from the shadows. It smashes his cage into 1,000 jagged pieces in one hit. Before he can even scream, a colossal eldritch monster emerges. The river god isn't a myth. It's right here, flesh and blood. She explains this thing was sealed after failing to stop a Tay King. While she talks, the monster begins to crush the life out of him. Then it does the unthinkable. It rips his very soul away. A spirit dragon tears from his body, his essence drained bare. She just stands there, totally unbothered by the dark energy surging. The river god devours the soul and asks its follower what she wants. She bows low, desperate for this omnipotent being to guide her. It answers by unleashing two more spectral dragons from the void. Watch this. The scale of this thing is just nightmare fuel. They swirl around the god, preparing to carry out her dark request. The creature dwarfs everything in sight, absolutely terrifying to behold. Its massive eye focuses, sensing another aberrant has leveled up. The river god reveals it recognizes Chinzei's parasite, a spirit named O. It's the traitor that once betrayed the god itself. Now that O has bonded with a human, he might be their last hope. The god orders her to protect the other spirits at all costs. They have to stop the Tay King's plan before the end. If that cosmic cocoon hatches, a new species will wipe humanity out. Back at the docks, Lucas is busy apologizing to a barely conscious Chinzei. Haley isn't having any of it, though she wants some real gratitude. She insists he's just exhausted and helps him sit down to rest. Right then, Chinzei's parasite realizes he can talk to Haley's inner spirit. She introduces herself as Ninetails, acting like it's no big deal. She mentions she has dealt with his kind plenty of times before. Her power masks auras, which is why he never felt her nearby. She sends a wave of healing energy straight into Chinzei. He recovers so fast it honestly looks like magic. Lucas is completely stunned, watching his friend make an instant comeback. But their moment of relief is cut short. A sudden, sharp sound cuts through the air. More uninvited guests are already on their way. Everything is about to go sideways, and they aren't ready. Tension is building up, and they have no room for error now. You can feel the danger closing in. Someone is definitely hunting them. The guests finally realize they are way out of their league. Lucas decides it is time to cut her losses and retreat. But it is too late. The new commander and his death squad are here. The guy draws a high-tech blade crackling with ominous blue energy. Chinzei's eyes lock onto him instantly. Major threat detected. Now watch this. The intensity is about to skyrocket. Elsewhere, the river god explains that sword was forged inside its own body. A spirit-slaying blade, designed to permanently erase beings like Chinzei's parasite. That weapon was stolen and refined by a rogue spirit who vanished. The river god mocks the others for serving its old traitorous subordinate. A follower notes the parasite's host is just some impulsive kid. They figure he will be dealt with soon enough. As she asks for guidance, the god senses the legendary blade is in play. In a flashback, we see Jang-kun steal that sword after his betrayal. His dying master could only watch, lamenting that the world's last hope was gone. The memory shows the master disowning the student for that final act of treason. Back in the present, Chinzei AI faces this enemy, demanding to know who he is. Jang-kun just screams that he is here to kill him. He brings the glowing blade down with full, heavy force. But Chinzei AI dodges the overhead strike like the guy is standing still. The commander is completely floored by our boy's impossible speed. That gives Chinzei AI a perfect opening to counter with razor-sharp claws. He lands a brutal slash. Jang-kun barely blocks it with his sword. The sheer force of the blow sends the commander stumbling back. Regaining his footing, he readies the blade for another exchange. The two erupt into a high-speed flurry of purple and blue energy. Jang-kun scoffs. He says Chinzei's style is sloppy. Like a wild animal, he claims, full of holes and mistakes. Our boy retorts that technique doesn't matter when you just want to end it. He follows up immediately with a massive, sweeping claw attack, putting every bit of his strength into the move. The commander just smirks. He spotted the exact opening he wanted. Seeing the reckless move, he instantly drops low, aiming a vicious slash right at Chinzei's exposed legs. That spirit-slaying blade connects, carving a nasty, deep gash. You can feel the pain in that blow. Our boy staggers back, totally caught off guard. He grinds his teeth in frustration. He realizes this is not just a normal fight anymore. But that commander, he just smirks, spotting the opening. Waiting for that reckless move, he instantly drops low. He aims a vicious slash right at Chinzei's exposed legs. The spirit-slaying blade connects, carving a nasty, deep gash. The strike sends our boy staggering back. He's completely caught off guard by that brutal attack. Grinding his teeth, he realizes this isn't just a normal weapon. The wound burns differently now, but Jang-kun doesn't wait. He raises his blade. Just as he moves for the kill, a massive wave of blue energy erupts. It slams into him, sending him flying across the entire battlefield. Chinzei hits the ground hard, his leg armor completely shattered into jagged shards. His opponent smirks, clearly enjoying this one-sided beatdown way too much. He gloats, sneering that if he can't get the parasite, he will just kill the host. Looking down, Chinzei sees the wound isn't healing. It is festering with dark energy. His parasite confirms the worst. His life force is draining away fast. He has to end this fight right now. Jang-kun helpfully explains his sword is designed to permanently erase spirits and their hosts. Chinzei absolutely loses it, screaming at his parasite for leaving out that tiny, crucial detail. Suddenly, his senses pick up on the other fight escalating nearby. Haley is getting swarmed by Jang-kun's death squad, barely holding her own. Lucas watches the new androids, sarcastically noting their perfect timing. With a grim look, Haley decides it is time to stop holding back. She leaps into the fray, her massive blade clashing against an android's armor. She taunts them, reminding them that their real targets are standing right here. Despite his injury, Chinzei suddenly appears, intercepting a brutal blow meant for her. Haley asks if he is all right, though it is obvious he is in bad shape. Just then, another squad leader shows up, telling Lucas she is out of her jurisdiction. He coldly states that since she is breaking rules, he will just eliminate her too. The new guy draws his sword. It is glowing with that same ominous spirit-slaying energy. Seeing that weapon makes Lucas freeze, completely shocked by the blade in his hands. She realizes that sword belonged to her master, who vanished 5 years ago. Back with our boy, Haley's healing attempts are failing against the corrupted wound. Internally, Ninetales tells all this is no ordinary injury, they need another spirit's help. Lucas finally snaps, demanding to know how this traitor got his hands on that legendary sword. He just smirks, explaining her old fool of a master tried to stop a grand plan and was eliminated for it. The horrible truth dawns on her. This man is the one who murdered her mentor. She furiously calls him out as a fellow disciple, questioning his every move. The commander's sword is glowing with that same ominous energy, a sight that makes Lucas freeze up entirely. She's shocked. He possesses the exact weapon she remembers. That blade belonged to her master, who vanished 5 years ago. Back during a top-secret mission, he simply disappeared. Now, Haley's healing attempts are failing against the corrupted wound. Internally, Ninetails warns all this is no ordinary injury. They'll need another spirit's help to fix it. Lucas finally snaps, demanding to know how this traitor got it. That legendary sword, it wasn't his to hold. He just smirks, explaining her old fool of a master tried to stop them. A grand plan, he says, and the old man was eliminated for it. The horrible truth dawns on her: this man murdered her mentor. She furiously calls him out, demanding to know where the body is. Why did their master ever train such a monster? With a chilling smile, he calls her senior sister. Claiming his goals met hers, he accidentally reveals their master is alive. That slip-up hits him hard, panic washes over his face. Forget the battle. Lucas grabs Chinzei desperately, asking if her master is okay. Where is she? Our boy is still out of it, just mumbling. He says she is being a little too impulsive. That traitor flashes back, the moment he stabbed his own master. He just cannot believe she could have survived that strike. But Chinzei's parasite scoffs inside, knowing her power is way too high. Someone like her, she would not die so easily. Fueled by this new hope, Chinzei gets back on his feet. He calls the commander scum for betraying his own people. His eyes glow with fresh power, ready to fight despite the pain. A furious roar breaks out as dark energy surges from the wound. Haley rushes to his side, seeing that corruption taking over. His wound is not just bleeding, it is gushing pure corrupted life force. Now watch this. Our boy can barely even stay upright anymore. The pain from that spirit-slaying blade is absolutely unreal. Jong-kun just loves it, gloating that death is getting closer. Haley desperately tries to heal him, but the cursed energy pushes her away. Seeing his chance, the traitorous commander orders his squad to finish them. They are totally distracted, and a team of android assassins descends. Blades ready. These guys are not messing around at all. Their weapons are humming with lethal intent, closing the distance fast. Lucas immediately leaps into action, catching one goon with a brutal kick. Right to the face, but for everyone she takes down, 2 more drop. She is stuck fending off wave after wave of attackers. Haley shields the still recovering Chinzei, landing perfectly on her feet. Lucas braces for the next round of cannon fodder coming their way. She's absolutely furious, realizing they are completely cornered now. That traitorous snake has this entire death squad surrounding them. On this rocky terrain, there is zero room to escape. Lucas shouts that she is doing her best, but they need to move. If they stay, they are going to get totally overwhelmed. She channels her own energy into Chinzei, giving him a temporary boost. He has to get moving, and fast. With that done, she gets right back to business. Demanding answers, she needs to know exactly where her master is. After a tense moment, she reluctantly agrees to help them out, but only because she needs him alive for now. Just then, an android smashes straight through their shaky defense. After a tense moment, she reluctantly agrees to help them. She only goes along because she needs him alive for now. Just then, an android breaks through their defense. The blade swings right at Chinzei's head, but he's already moving, blocking the strike, proving he's still got plenty of fight left in him. The pain from that cursed wound is finally gone. Yet Chinzei is still leaking life force like a sieve. He lets out a feral roar, deciding if he's going down, he's taking everyone with him. Lucas is already back in the fight, parrying a strike from one of the android goons. The 3 of them stand their ground, ready for the next wave of attacks. It's a pretty grim picture with the entire death squad closing in from all sides. This traitorous commander smirks, absolutely certain they're too exhausted to put up a real fight. So Chinzei cooks up a plan to lure the big boss away while the girls handle the cannon fodder. He promises to meet them later at an old clock tower, giving them a confident grin. But Lucas, ever the pragmatist, immediately calls it the worst plan she's ever heard. Too bad the traitor isn't waiting for a debate. He charges in with his glowing spirit-slaying blade. Chinzei shoves both Haley and Lucas out of the path of that deadly strike. He meets the commander's blade head-on. A massive explosion of energy erupts between them. The sheer force of their clash rips the very ground apart. The commander just orders his androids to swarm our boy, trying to pin him down. This fight is tearing the entire port city to absolute shreds. And get this, Chinzei is now stuck playing keep away with the androids, trying to buy the girls some time, while Lucas and Haley carve their own path through the mechanical army. He grits his teeth, realizing the cursed wound is slowing him down way too much. They need to go, right now. With a burst of speed, he makes a mad dash for it, leading the chase away from his allies. But an android immediately intercepts him, blocking his escape with a perfectly timed strike. Chinzei digs his claws into the ground, his path completely blocked. He's immediately thrown into a high-speed clash, deflecting a dozen strikes at once. From a distance, Lucas shouts advice about using his speed, but he can't find an opening. The traitorous commander tells her to shut up, charging back into the fray with his own blade. He forces Chinzei to parry another brutal swing from that spirit-slaying sword. Meanwhile, Haley and her friend are getting overwhelmed, warning each other about the android's insane mobility. One of the hooded machines gets the drop on Haley's companion, grabbing her from behind, only to get its head completely caved in by a lightning-fast strike. Lucas leads the way, telling the others to follow her. From a distance, Lucas shouts advice about using his speed, but he can't find an opening. The traitorous commander tells her to shut up, charging back into the fray. He forces Chinzei to parry another brutal swing from that blade. Meanwhile, Haley and her friend are getting completely overwhelmed. They keep warning each other about the android's insane mobility. One of the hooded machines gets the drop on her companion. It grabs her from behind, only to get its head caved in. A lightning-fast strike stops it cold. Lucas leads the way, shouting for the others to follow. As they finally make a break for it, John-kun is visibly annoyed they're escaping, but Chinzei just smirks. His plan is working perfectly. The commander finally realizes this whole drawn-out fight was just a distraction. Chinzei smugly confirms he was keeping the big boss occupied so his friends could slip away as they flee. Lucas asks if the healer's powers are back online, but she's still totally drained. They're just about to reach a getaway vehicle when an android takes aim from the rooftops. John-kun just scoffs, pretty confident their little escape is about to hit a wall. He casually taps a device on his wrist, activating his little surprise. On cue, the androids unleash a coordinated volley of energy blasts into the sky. A massive energy net materializes out of thin air. Lucas is shocked. It closes in, and the girls are caught, suspended helplessly. In the air with nowhere to run, John taunts Chinzei, asking if he really thought his little squad could outrun a high-tech army just as they are trapped. An android grabs Chinzei from behind, its eyes glowing. Ominously, John smirks, gloating that there's absolutely nowhere left for them to run. Now this traitorous commander gets a status report. The targets are captured, awaiting his final order. Chinzei starts to panic, struggling against the machine's iron grip, while the commander just smiles, about to give the command to eliminate them both, when Lucas suddenly crashed the party, delivering a flying kick right into the android side. The traitor barely dodges, shocked by the sheer weight behind her attack. As the machine goes flying, that single kick was enough to completely shatter its reinforced armor plating. With his captor gone, Chinzei immediately lunges for the commander. Grabbing him from behind, he then slams the guy headfirst into the ground, creating a massive impact crater. The commander is completely stunned, not expecting that kind of raw power from an injured kid Before he can recover, Chinzei smashes him into the side of a cliff, pinning him down with one hand while his claws dig into the man's uniform. Our boy is absolutely feral. Let me tell you, he lets out a furious roar with his eyes glowing purple. He screams right in the commander's face, who's now looking genuinely terrified. A brutal punch lands square in the traitor's gut, the impact echoing across the battlefield. The commander coughs up blood, clearly taking some serious internal damage from the blow. Not letting up for a second, Chinzei forms a blade of pure energy around his arm, unleashing a lightning-fast flurry of slashes that are too quick to even see. A final powerful swipe. With one massive blow, Chinzei sends the commander flying, ending that brutal, one-sided beatdown. The commander is losing it, completely spiraling, watching his control slip away. He's actually terrified now of the same kid he was just mocking a minute ago. Chinzei gets right in his face, deadpan, calling him out for the pathetic coward he is. Without that fancy sword, he's basically useless, and the range is clearly getting to him. Deep inside, the Ninetales is screaming that their life force is running on empty. Pure willpower is the only thing keeping Chinzei standing while the world blurs around him. Our boy unleashes a final, desperate burst of power, a blinding flash of raw energy. Light engulfs the entire battlefield, washing out everything in a searing, golden glow. When the glare finally fades, Jong-kun realizes the truth about their connection. The kid and that parasite are sharing a life link just to stay alive. Meanwhile, Lucas and Haley are still tied up, though Lucas has total faith in his friend. Just then, a storm of golden energy blasts tears right through the middle of the field. It's aimed straight at the android guards. They don't even have time to scream. Before they can react, they're getting completely vaporized by the sheer force of the attack. A new fighter zips across the scene, moving way too fast to catch a clear look. It's a guy with wild red hair and sleek armor, wrapped in his own golden flames. He doesn't waste a second, immediately dismantling the remaining androids with a flurry of strikes. One of the goons gets launched into the air by a devastating kick from the newcomer. With the first wave down, he stands ready, his golden aura flaring up for more. Another blast of fire clears the field, leaving a straight path to the captured girls. Nobody knows who this guy is, and Jong-kun wonders if another commander is crashing his party. Haley's friend is panicking, totally convinced this flame user is about to turn her into barbecue. A strange voice whispers in her head, "Use the bewitching fluid to smoke him out." Suddenly, a thick purple mist fills the air, swirling around the combatants. Lucas, still tied up, instantly recognizes that scent. It's a massive problem. See, the pink-haired girl just accidentally gassed her own teammate with that toxic cloud. But this flame wielder doesn't care about the smoke. He just walks right through it. He reaches the post, standing face to face with the helpless captives. Haley's companion is livid, yelling that her special smoke got wasted by his dramatic entrance. The red-haired warrior just looks at her, clarifying he isn't here to fight them. He's here to help. Meanwhile, Jong-kun still has Chinzei pinned to the ground. He's monologuing about how much better his own human form looks compared to the boy. Chinzei's hand twitches, a subtle gesture that the commander completely misinterprets. He laughs, mockingly asking if the kid is really trying to beg for his life now. Jong-kun is unimpressed, cold-bloodedly ordering his men to tie Chinzei's hands up right away. Haley's companion is absolutely livid that her special smoke got blown away. But the red-haired warrior clarifies he isn't here to fight them. He's actually here to help, and you can tell they're caught off guard. Meanwhile, Jong-kun has Chinzei pinned down. He's monologuing about how much better his human form looks. Our boy's hand twitches, a subtle gesture. The commander immediately misinterprets it, mockingly asking a question. Is he actually trying to beg for his life right now? He's totally unimpressed, ordering his men to tie Chinzei's hands. A new player grabs his wrist, calmly telling him those androids aren't his anymore. Sure enough, the entire mechanical squad starts dropping out of the sky. They fall like puppets with their strings suddenly cut, hitting the ground hard. The traitor is stunned. He realizes this newcomer isn't just some muscle. He's a powerful sorcerer who leans in close, ice cold as ice. He tells Jong-kun that was his one and only warning. Before the commander can process that, a brutal strike lands from behind. He goes flying, spinning around in midair, face twisted in pure rage. He demands to know who the hell just dared to ambush him. Turns out it's a white-haired woman who just landed a devastating kick. She follows up, slamming down right on his shoulders, pinning him flat. Jong-kun is shocked. He recognizes his attacker as John Liking. She tells Chinzei AI she's late, but she helped him finish this traitor. The commander hauls himself up, declaring he is the new boss now. Chinzei AI just rises, a dark, heavy aura radiating off his body. Jong-kun is completely baffled. How is he even standing after that? Chinzei AI answers that question by planting a vicious kick into his jaw. Wiping blood from his mouth, he dares the traitor to keep fighting. Chinzei AI is wailing on the commander, screaming about every cheap threat. John Liking watches, stunned he can still fight after that sword hit. The beatdown ends, and our guy is gasping, totally spent from the effort. He grabs the traitor, yelling that androids are people too. He's no monster, but Jong-kun just coughs, laughing at him. He says Chinzei AI doesn't get it. City rules make him a dead man. Suddenly it clicks for Chinzei AI. This was about stealing his parasite. He flatly refuses, saying he's fighting because it's the right thing to do. With the spirit-slaying sword shattered, the battle finally seems over. But Chinzei AI is barely standing. The adrenaline is fading fast. The full weight of his injuries hits him all at once. His legs give out. The fight has officially taken its heavy toll. Just as he's about to hit the ground, John Liking zips in. She catches him, shoving life-saving medicine into his mouth. Hang on, she tells him. Don't you dare close your eyes yet. Suddenly, another player enters the scene, mocking the down Jong-kun. He brings up a past failed assassination attempt like a bad joke. This newcomer stands over the traitor, declaring his actions unforgivable. After years of hiding to recover, he is back to settle the score. Without warning, he unleashes a massive tidal wave of molten lava. It floods the entire area, burning everything left in its path. In the middle of that inferno, he pulls out something unexpected. He keeps mocking Jong-kun about that failed assassination attempt. This newcomer stands over the traitor, declaring justice is finally here. His actions are unforgivable, after years spent hiding just to recover. Without any warning, he unleashes a literal tidal wave of molten lava. It floods the entire area, and in the center of that inferno, he pulls out a blade. He pries open a strange, sealed container, and something massive escapes. A wild torrent of swirling blue spiritual energy erupts into the air. It hits the red-hot lava instantly, kicking off a violent reaction. The whole area turns into a chaotic elemental vortex right before our eyes. He grinds his teeth, focusing every ounce of strength to control the storm. Those two forces slam together, triggering a cataclysmic blast. The shockwave hits, and the entire city starts to rock. This lava sorcerer reveals he only survived his last defeat through a rare artifact. Turns out, he was just a neglected disciple the whole time. His master had even predicted this kid would be consumed by ambition. A flashback hits. There he is, lying defeated and feeling completely worthless. That is, until he crossed paths with someone called King Tai. That one meeting changed everything. It reignited his will to fight. He surrendered to a dark, parasitic entity, letting it take over his body. He begs this Lord of the Scarlet Star for more strength. The dark energy starts feeding on him, and he just laughs it off. He transforms into a hulking monster, much to his former master's shame. The entity inside him roars, demanding he retrieve the spirit he was sent for. It is absolute madness watching him lose himself like this. Back in the present, the bandaged berserker accepts his orders without a word. He is ready to become a puppet again, just like that. But his old master suddenly realizes something. His target isn't Jong-kun. The monster lunges forward, screaming that his new king made him powerful. He blows right past his old master, ignoring him completely. That defensive barrier shatters into dust under the sheer force of the impact. The master gets blown away, left helpless in the wake of the assault. The berserker rockets past, dead set on his prize. Desperately, the silver-haired sorcerer reaches out to stop his former student. But the possessed fighter is way too fast for him. He is closing in on his objective, and there is no slowing him down. With no other choice, the master fires off a powerful binding spell. He clenches his fist, pouring every last bit of energy into the restraint. Massive spheres of dark energy materialize, swallowing the berserker whole. He is trapped now, pinned firmly in place by the magical prison. The master holds the spell steady, eyes locked on his former apprentice. He is successfully holding the out-of-control fighter captive inside. The berserker can only snarl. His rampage has come to a sudden halt. But he isn't finished yet, and he starts punching his way out. He is tearing through the energy prison with nothing but raw, brute force. A flurry of heavy kicks begins to fracture the master's binding spell. A strange seal on his arm glows as he pushes against the immense pressure. The spell is holding on, but he is refusing to back down. The dark spheres finally start to crack apart under the relentless assault. His body contorts violently, and he screams as his neck snaps under the strain. It looks horrific, but he just keeps going. Snapped back into place a second later, now completely feral. He frantically searches for the spirit he was ordered to retrieve. His former master reaches out, realizing he has lost all control. Just then, some poor soul gets blasted into the sky right above him. The berserker waits. That sorcerer can only apologize, knowing what comes. What is about to happen next is pure carnage. The possessed fighter looks up, his eyes locked onto the new target. In a flash, the person in the air is torn to shreds by an unseen force. Then, the berserker himself slams into the ground, creating a massive impact crater, leaving him embedded in the rock. His arms completely torn off from the sheer backlash. With the fight over, Zhang Liking reports that Zhang Kun is down, and the berserker has officially lost his mind. At that moment, the red-haired warrior lands safely with Lucas and Haley. Chinzei, looking much better now, exchanges a glance with a relieved Lucas. She rushes to his side, asking if he is okay. He admits he is feeling a new chest wound. The camera pans over the destroyed battlefield, focusing on the shattered sword. A new arrival with a fiery aura surveys the aftermath. Zhang Liking regrets ever calling Chinzei here in the first place. Zhang Liking tells a new ally to take the recovering Chinzei to safety. Our boy, barely conscious, looks up to see who this helper is. This man introduces himself as Yan Biffing, another aberrant whose parasite is a mythical bird. Chinzei just weakly agrees to trust this bird guy for now. With a burst of fire, Yan Biffing throws Chinzei over his shoulder. He warns him to hang on tight. The sheer force of takeoff sends Haley's pink-haired friend tumbling backward. As they blast through the air, Chinzei begs him to slow down. He is worried his wounds will tear open again. Meanwhile, Zhang Liking explains they are heading to a tavern she runs. It is a safe haven for them. She checks on the unconscious Haley, using a gentle spell. Haley's eyes slowly flutter open, looking completely disoriented. She sits up, confused about where she is and what just happened. Then her gaze lands on the woman kneeling beside her. A look of shock washes over her face. Zhang Liking just gives her a warm, relieved smile. Her student is finally safe. It finally clicks for Haley, who tearfully recognizes the woman, her long-lost master. Overcome with emotion, she throws her arms around Zhang Liking. A desperate, heart-wrenching hug. Haley sobs that she thought her master was gone forever. But Zhang Liking is right there, holding her close. Her mission isn't over yet. The student finally comes clean. She admits she joined the security firm purely out of blinded ambition. Corruption runs deep, and the pink-haired girl isn't having it. She demands to know the truth. What exactly is the company doing with these parasites? But her friend just gives an evasive answer, dodging the question entirely. That triggers the pink-haired girl. She's furious, assuming she's being shut out again. Then John Liking steps in, reassuring her that Haley still has a good heart. It wasn't malice, she was just looking for a little stability in this world. John Liking sighs, reminding them that fate doesn't care about your personal plans. He tells Haley the truth. She's got her own path now. She's free to leave if she wants to play it safe. That offer hits hard, and the student looks completely torn on what to do. But then the master pivots, proposing they team up to build something new. A new world for Abrams. He says meanwhile, Haley's friend just wants out. She's hoping she can slip away quietly while all this drama unfolds. Across the city, a blonde woman is already pressing her own master for the next move. Back to our guy in Biffing, he's tearing through the sky with an injured Chinzei. He doesn't even slow down, rocketing forward at breakneck speed. With a massive crash, he smashes directly through the wall of a high-rise. Chinzei groans, asking where they are, but there's no time for explanations. Yen Biffing lays him down gently, promising they've reached a secure private room. He sprints downstairs into the tavern, desperate for the bartender's help. He's shouting, demanding to know where they keep the healing pod, only to find out the thing is just a fish tank now. Yen Biffing absolutely loses it, screaming at the guy to get upstairs and save a life. Up there, Chinzei is fading fast, his breathing getting shallow and unsteady. Yen Biffing is frantic, trying to keep him awake, begging him not to pass out. They scramble, dragging him to a new spot for some makeshift emergency treatment. They haul him right next to that repurposed healing pod. It's a glorified aquarium now, and the situation is getting bizarre. Flashback, some guy is bragging to his boss about being a marine life expert. He's confidently identifying the fish in the tank, acting like he owns the place. It's a rare tropical species, he claims, before launching into a lecture. He starts rambling about their mating habits, talk about a terrible time for a biology lesson. Back in the flashback, the bartender is literally underwater, showing off these rare fish. He's so proud, but his boss just points, looking completely unimpressed. The boss asks what the heck that thing is, shutting him down instantly. Elsewhere, the commander's death has sent the whole city into a full-blown panic. Some corporate suit is begging for his life right now. He's cornered by a woman with a massive, dangerous reptilian tail. She is clearly not in the mood for any pathetic negotiations. Watch this, her power flares up, and with one single kick, she sends the guy flying straight out of a skyscraper window. He just vanishes into the city air, gone in a heartbeat. And in another district, a tentacled aberrant is already on the move. He's snatching up screaming kids, howling about getting his own back. That sends the security captain into a frenzy. He orders his men to go full lethal on every single attacker. Their bullets fire off, but just bounce harmlessly against a massive bat-like creature. It's barely. Even annoyed, then it opens its maw and lets out a sonic roar. Preparing to wipe them out, the creature unleashes a shockwave that sends the whole squad flying through the air like rag dolls. Over in a secret lab, a scientist carefully extracts a sample from a body on the table while a high-ranking officer hovers over the procedure. He's waiting for results. Turns out, they found a self-destructing implant inside a piece of Jungkun's claw. With time running out, the officer orders a sorcerer to kick off the next phase of their plan. He reveals his real mission to track down the aberrant that King Tai wants for its spirit. As his forces assemble, the officer calls a meeting to pacify the entire district. Suddenly, the scene shifts to a skeleton with a blue flaming head just sitting. In some desolate ruin, a cloaked figure stalks through a creepy stone hall, heading straight for a hidden ritual chamber. He kneels down to present a tray with a dagger, a chalice, and a vial. Some dark, viscous fluid is carefully poured from that vial into the chalice. Meanwhile, a pink-haired swordsman kneels before his blade. Preparing for something huge, he concentrates intensely. His body crackles with raw blue spiritual energy while the strange brew sits ready inside, glowing. Circle on the floor. The whole chamber erupts in light. The man stands at the center of a massive formation which seems to trigger a vision of a brutal, earth-shaking clash between two powerful fighters. One combatant gets sent flying by a blinding blast of energy from his opponent. A new challenger, wearing a rhino-like helmet, jumps into the fray, looking absolutely furious. He unleashes a devastating punch that sends shockwaves ripping through the industrial district, following up with a brutal kick that sends his target soaring through the air. Of course, this rampage ends with him getting clocked so hard he's seeing stars back at the tavern. A sign on the door politely informs everyone they are closed for business. Inside, the bartender watches the city burn, feeling thankful for Jing Liken's protective barrier. Meanwhile, Chinzei stays submerged in the repurposed fish tank, breathing through a respirator. A new group debates his fate, with their leader arguing they need to extract that spirit right now. A butler interrupts with snacks because a massive crisis hits, but the leader just wants a meal. She ignores him, barking at Captain Boo to find the spirit. Boo points out their healing pod is ancient, barely functional. The rival security company has tech that blows theirs away. The leader snaps, accuses Boo of plotting to use Chinzei. She claims Boo wants to infiltrate the company herself. Boo just sighs, totally fed up with the lack of trust. She fires back. If she were a traitor, she'd have exposed them. She would have called for backup and ended them all by now. The leader doesn't care. He smashes Boo's communicator under her heel. She is clearly done with the constant posturing and scheming. Meanwhile, Boo feels like a suspect, not a trusted ally. The tension hits the breaking point as they square off. Energy crackles between them, leaving the butler caught in the middle. Back with Chinzei, a brilliant light erupts from the tank. The sword spirit is waking up inside the liquid. A white-haired woman notices, sensing the spirit beginning to transform. The bartender checks on Chinzei as he starts to convulse. It's violent, uncontrollable. His vitals are going completely haywire. That white-haired woman senses external power interfering with the process. The bartender recognizes Genlik, but this newcomer is a mystery. He figures the kid is a lost cause, dying anyway. Now watch this. He gets right in Chinzei's face. He wants to see what a dying man thinks. It sends Chinzei's consciousness into a strange, dark, starry void. He wakes up feeling a weird weight on his head. Two claws are right by his eyes, a small horned creature. It gets pulled right out of his forehead. Now completely healed, Chinzei just asks what it is. The creature responds with a proud, tiny roar, looking pleased. A massive version of the spirit manifests behind it. A glowing blue sword hovers above in the dark. Chinzei calmly asks the tiny guy if that beast is his friend. The tiny dragon explains, that is a giant beast. It's currently locked in a stalemate with the sword spirit. It offers Chinzei an easy way out, just walk away. Let them both die, go back to a normal life. Or he can help it reclaim the sword spirit. It warns him that path is a total nightmare. Now it is up to our boy to prove something. Does he actually have any fight left in him? This triggers a memory, him being tortured and experimented on. A real highlight of his life, if you can call it that. Everything starts spinning, and suddenly he is falling. And here is the real highlight. Suddenly, he starts falling through the void. He drifts through a digital void while the spirit all shouts his name. Below, a tiny creature crackles with blue fire, desperately needing a choice. Chinzei looks on, terrified, reaching out as if to halt the fall. With a sudden surge of resolve, he starts sprinting across glowing cubes. He leaps across treacherous floating platforms, making a mad dash for power. Before him waits the colossal beast spirit, a silent, glowing challenge. Gritting his teeth, Chinzei pushes forward, clutching at his wavering consciousness. He continues his frantic parkour through this bizarre dimension inside his head. Finally reaching his goal, he grabs the hilt of a massive blade. With intense focus, he pulls the blue energy sword free, claiming power. Standing atop the giant beast, he wields the spiritual weapon with confidence. But a sinister doppelganger appears behind him, whispering a chilling question. That dark version claims to be the real Chinzei, reminding him he is human. Our boy is clearly shaken. This identity crisis hits at the worst time. Now watch this. The double tries to bait him with a normal life. The shadow insists he should kill the spirit for good, right now. It calls the beast just a monster that belongs to no one. The copy tries to tempt Chinzei with thoughts of a quiet future. But Chinzei isn't buying it, rejecting the imposter with total, absolute conviction. You are not me, he declares, leaving the doppelganger genuinely surprised. The copy didn't expect this sudden show of backbone from him. Chinzei slams his fist down, channeling his own raw spiritual energy. His awakened senses tell him this copy is a complete fraud. He roars for the intruder to get out of his consciousness. Brandishing the sword, he watches as the imposter panics and attacks. It launches dark energy spheres in a desperate, last-ditch effort. That attack sends the copy flying backward, right off the platform. The desperate assault backfires, leaving the attacker grounded on the beast. As he skids across the floor, his face begins to crack. The illusion shatters, revealing a random sorcerer with a top knot. The giant beast spirit scoffs, calling the guy another pathetic mage. The sorcerer just grins, clearly far from finished with his game. But he realizes his awakened senses can tell this copy is fake. It's a total fraud. He can feel the aura is completely wrong. He roars for the intruder to get the hell out of his consciousness, brandishing that energy sword. But the imposter starts to panic, launching a desperate last-ditch attack with dark energy spheres. An attack that just sends him flying backward, right off the platform. He crashed onto the beast below. His desperate assault completely backfired. He skids across the ground, and his face starts to crack like porcelain. The illusion is finally breaking apart. That fake Chinzei shatters, revealing a random sorcerer with a top knot. The giant beast spirit scoffs at him, just another pathetic second-rate mage. But this sorcerer just grins. Watch this. The city is now crawling with high-tech surveillance drones. All this was a trap. His mission was just to draw them out. But as he turns to leave, he realizes his feet are anchored. Stuck, completely paralyzed, Chinzei's voice rings out, mocking him. He stepped right into a personal domain, and he's not leaving. Shadowy tendrils from the beast erupt, coiling tight around his legs. He is trapped, solid, lost in the crushing grip of the mindscape. Chinzei makes it clear. This intruder has nowhere left to run. A quick cut to the sorcerer, frantically setting up a dark ritual. Sword drawn, a chalice of blood ready, he braces for the end. The beast's spirit doesn't wait. It unleashes a wave of raw energy. The sorcerer screams out, but it's hopeless against that kind of power. The blast hits, completely vaporizing his consciousness in an instant. Back in the real world, his physical body is violently launched away. He crashes out of the ritual circle, broken. In that exact moment, a subordinate rushes in, panic in his eyes, delivering an urgent report. The high-ranking officer listens, learning their master mage just failed. An unexpected accident. They call it a massive, laughable understatement. The guy is a comatose wreck now, embedded deep inside a wall. Totally unresponsive. The officer scowls, looking at the pathetic sight. He dismisses the useless operative, not a shred of sympathy to spare. Plana is officially a bust. He turns to his waiting forces. The mission has changed. He declares it is now a free-for-all. Meanwhile, District 9 has turned into a total war zone. Streets littered with bodies, chaos everywhere you look. Two new hunters arrive, a pale leader and his green-skinned muscle. They survey the ruin, and the brute pulls up a glowing hologram. It's Chinzei. He explains their target is just a badly injured kid. The brute's plan, simple, head to the nearest hospital and start breaking kneecaps. But get this, his partner shuts that idea down instantly. A 5-star target wouldn't be hiding in some public clinic. Especially not in a dump like this, he tells the big guy. They are supposed to be discreet hunters, not mindless thugs. Of course, the brute just grins. He doesn't care about the rules. He's only in it for the kill count and the thrill of the hunt. Their chat gets cut short by a dark energy flash tearing through the air. It narrowly misses them, putting both hunters on high alert immediately. They track the source, some beat-up guy wearing a beast mask. He's demanding to know why they aren't helping him right now. He seems to think they belong to some golden vulture group, which means absolutely nothing to them. They just stare. Suddenly re-energized, the masked man lunges forward. He grabs the green hunter, declaring he has found his new prey. The pale leader doesn't flinch. He just holds up Chinzei's hologram, asking if he has seen this kid instead. That masked man's little tantrum is about to be cut very short. Then a new fighter jumps in and sends him flying with one kick. A bald brawler follows, crashing down hard with a heavy staff. He's clearly looking for a fight and slams right in. He buries a brutal knee into the masked guy's defenses. Meanwhile, the pale hunter just zips past the chaos, totally uninterested. This is just a sideshow to him, leaving the masked man to scream. He gets absolutely pummeled from all sides. No way out now. Suddenly, a spiky armored dude skewers him from behind, ending the rampage. More armored goons flood the street, turning the block into a war zone. This pale leader just smirks, telling his partner to let them handle it. They have their own mess to clean up. Unfortunately for the Green Brit, he's now surrounded by a new squad. He casually tosses them a little parting gift made of pure dark energy. It forcibly transforms one of the soldiers into a monstrous berserker. The thing is completely out of control now. Back at the tavern, a device starts flashing with an urgent alert. It wakes the pink-haired girl from her much-needed crisis nap. Captain Boo is still monitoring Chinzei, totally unaware of the trouble outside. Then the butler rushes in, informing the white-haired leader of the crisis. They've got real trouble. She looks less than thrilled to be woken up. Another city-ending emergency, because of course, there is. A hologram pops up with one of their men frantically reporting in. Two hostiles are tearing through their ranks like paper. Turns out, those hostiles are hunters, professionally trained killers. This leader, the bartender, and the pink-haired girl immediately head out. They leave the others behind with strict orders to guard Chinzei. No matter what happens, he has to stay safe. Back in the lab, Captain Boo is stunned Chinzei's condition is stabilizing. Inside his mindscape, our boy is just casually lounging with the dragon spirit. The tiny beast explains it's absorbing the sword's power to patch him up. Chinzei immediately asks if that's how the dragon got its own powers. Turns out, spirit weapons need a special blessing to be activated. That's exactly what they're doing right now. The spirit compares it to humans consecrating their little trinkets. Much to Chinzei's annoyance, it'll take time to fully merge their powers. So he agrees to help it digest the energy. Outside, the city is now crawling with a swarm of high-tech drones. Their pilot, some smug guy with a visor, is pretty confident. He's sure he'll find the target before anyone else does. His drones are ruthlessly scanning the streets now. They aren't hesitating to zap anyone standing in their way. The pilot, some smug guy in a visor, is confident he'll find the target first. His drones are ruthlessly scanning, not hesitating to zap anyone in their way. They have no idea what they just dropped into the middle of. He powers up even more, his body crackling with intense purple energy. The system is scanning faces, but it is hitting nothing but duds. Just low percentage matches on random people walking down the street. The machines corner a group of terrified civilians, barking out orders. They demand immediate cooperation. The pilot just scoffs at the scene. He mocks the other winged hunters, complaining that they are making it unfair. But his gloating stops cold when the sky suddenly turns against him. One of his precious drones gets shot out of the air instantly. Another one is sliced in half by some invisible force. He panics. A third drone moves in to scout, only to smack into a wall. It hits an invisible barrier. Dead in its tracks, the pilot freezes. He realizes this is a sorcerer's technique. His target is definitely hidden. He switches to thermal, and the screen lights up with heat signatures. Inside the building, one massive signature sits waiting within a glass tank. With the location locked, he immediately radios for his elite death squad. A massive transport ship descends from the clouds to deploy his forces. They are ready to smash through that barrier and finish the job. On his order, the missile drones swarm forward in a deadly pack. They lock onto the tavern with cold, lethal, digital precision. Watch this, the moment they pull the trigger. Without a second of hesitation, they unleash a barrage of missiles. The payload slams into the barrier, sending shockwaves through the entire structure. The defense team inside is blown off their feet by the impact. The pilot smirks from his chair, savoring the destruction unfolding below him. He loves the sound of his own handiwork tearing the city apart. Outside, the sorcerer's shield begins to crack under the relentless assault. The butler panics, screaming that their only defense has been completely shattered. This white-haired leader, however, remains unnervingly calm even as they are exposed. She spots the drones hovering outside, watching their every single move. She warns her team that the enemy is officially at the door. One of the soldiers calls out, offering them a chance to surrender. A hollow promise. They have no intention of letting them live. Trapped and outgunned, the tension in the room is at a breaking point. The pink-haired girl desperately asks for a plan, any kind of move. The leader decides to step out and stall while they move Chinzei. She is confident her rank will hold them off, but then a new voice cuts through the air saying it is not necessary. Suddenly, a massive object plummets from the sky at incredible speed. A huge metallic pod is on a direct collision course with them. It tears through the atmosphere, heading straight for the main street. As the leader steps out to face the soldiers, they all look up. They watch in total disbelief as the sky seems to fall down. The pod smashes into the street, creating a massive, blowing impact crater. She whirls around, absolutely furious at this reckless, overwhelming display of power. She demands to know what the hell they just dropped on them. With a roar, he scoffs that their pathetic attacks are barely a warm-up. During the firefight, a massive shockwave sends her teammates flying. They land hard, completely dazed and vulnerable on the lab floor. The pulse from the pod shatters Chinzei's healing tank instantly. He goes into a violent convulsion as the life support system fails. Every monitor in the room starts screaming about a critical malfunction. It's a total disaster. Everything is falling apart in seconds. Inside his mindscape, Chinzei realizes his vitals are tanking fast. He needs to wake up, but this dragon spirit is too greedy. It's having a great time gleefully absorbing the last of the power. As the fusion completes, the sword's energy is entirely consumed. Chinzei is blasted out of his trance just as reality hits him. From the wreckage of the pod, a new horned figure emerges. He's carrying an unconscious girl draped right over his shoulder. The hunters are stunned, recognizing him and questioning how he's alive. One of the braver idiots decides they should jump him anyway. They have the numbers, right? It feels like an easy win. A classic bad idea, even the other teams just stand there. They're completely baffled by this sudden, impossible development. A blonde fighter notes it's a miracle he even survived that. But the blue-skinned hunter just steps up, demanding the spirit. This new guy just smirks, telling them to forget about it. He stands over the crowd of wannabes, looking down with disdain. Then he powers up his shirt shreds as a blue core appears. The hunters realize in horror that the spirit has already merged. He grits his teeth, absolutely furious that these pests interrupted him. He was hungry, and now he's looking for a fight. With a roar, he pulls a massive energy blade from his body. He effortlessly parries a dive bomb attack from a winged hunter. Then, with one swing, he sends the entire front line flying. The other hunters can only watch in disbelief, completely floored. His raw power is honestly terrifying to witness up close. He scoffs, claiming that was just a fraction of his strength. If he actually tried, he'd end them all right here. The spirit inside is resonating, amplifying his own demonic claws. Now his energy blade glows with a menacing, dark red hue. He's ready to cleanse them of their sins, one by one. That's the cue for another hunter to launch razor-sharp projectiles. From the rooftops, they rain down, but the brawler doesn't flinch. He casually bats them all aside without even breaking a sweat. The white-haired attacker is shocked that his ambush failed so badly. Spotting the sniper, the new guy calls him a pathetic coward. He hates people hiding in the distance while he's busy fighting. This taunt prompts the rest of the armored grunts to charge. They're swarming in now, desperate to bring him down for good. You can tell this is where the real carnage finally begins. Just when they hope to overwhelm him with sheer numbers, the scene shifts. We cut to a different, equally chaotic battle raging across the city. Fighters wielding purple energy blades are locked in a deadly, desperate struggle. It is a total free-for-all, with combatants and energy blasts filling the streets. Elsewhere, a blonde woman stands over her two unconscious squad mates. She is looking pretty beat up herself, struggling to even stay standing. But she's just relieved they are still breathing after that pod shockwave. Now she is stuck, left wondering what to do with the unconscious girl. Their original mission was to secure Chinzei. That was the goal. A quick flashback reveals the horned guy was once human, but no more. He is a super individual now, completely beyond saving. This blonde leader knows she cannot return empty-handed without facing a demotion. She is desperately trying to piece together her master's real objective here. In all this chaos, she speculates the plan was to use Chinzei. The goal was to lure out the spirit for some grand revival scheme. Back in the fight, the horned warrior's eyes lock on, senses sharpening. Targeting his next victim, he zips across the rooftops in a blur. He is moving way too fast for any normal human to track. But the white-haired sniper is not giving up. He extends his own claws. A proper brawl is about to start. The two of them launch into a high-speed chase across the skyline. They leave a trail of total destruction in their wake. The sniper manages to land a hit, yelling that there is no escape. This just makes the horned guy even more feral. He threatens to make the sniper his next meal. He easily blocks a powerful kick, their energies clashing in violent sparks. That is when the blonde leader notices a surveillance drone nearby. Back in his command chair, the pilot is absolutely loving the show. He is eager to see if his tech can actually beat these freaks. Meanwhile, the blonde leader is having a full-on mental crisis. Torn between duty and her master's cold orders, she has to choose. She is weighing the lesser of two evils, and both look pretty terrible. Finally making a choice, she takes off running, desperate for a change. She is determined to jump into the fight herself. Up on the roof, the horned warrior mocks the sniper's cowardice. He claims the sniper only knows how to shoot from the shadows. Casually, he swats another projectile out of the air like it is nothing. The sniper is stunned by that raw, overwhelming power. He realizes he will lose his own spirit if this keeps up. The horned guy just smirks, telling him to make this easy. Just give up already, he taunts, savoring the fear. That is when they both spot a drone hovering nearby. Apparently, it is live streaming their little duel to the world. From the drone's perspective, it has a perfect lock on both combatants. You can see every movement. There is nowhere left to hide. The pilot grins like a maniac, shouting he has found them and ordering his squad to engage. A massive fleet of smaller weaponized drones immediately swarms their rooftop position. The horned brawler screams a warning as the machines close in for the kill. The brawler barely has time to register a tiny drone locking onto his heat signature. He twists midair just as the rooftop erupts in a massive, blinding fireball. That blast sends him hurtling toward the street, leaving him wide open. The sniper sees his chance and intercepts him with a brutal, bone-shattering blow. He crashes hard into the rubble below as another volley of missiles screams down. This entire area is engulfed in a second, even more devastating series of explosions. High above, the pilot just grins, already counting the profits from this combat data. Down below, other hunters see the smoke and rush in to claim the body. First come, first served. Even the white-haired sniper thinks it is all over. But watch this, the dust settles and everyone realizes something is very wrong. In that crater, our target emerges, now covered in a terrifying new armored form. He laughs it off, casually saying that direct hit only tingled a little bit. This display of near immortality sends the pilot and the ground teams into a panic. With one single punch to the ground, he unleashes a shockwave across the battlefield. He is done playing games. He just needs to find the guy controlling these toys. Elsewhere, other hunter factions are jumping in, including a mysterious, hooded group. A team of sorcerers in hoodies leaps down, ready to throw their hats in the ring. The horned brawler just powers up further, his body crackling with intense purple energy. He lets out a roar, scoffing that their pathetic attacks are barely a warm-up. He effortlessly bats away their energy blasts, moving through them like they are statues. The sorcerers are overwhelmed, coughing up blood from the sheer force of his aura. Just then, a sleek, high-end car pulls up, adding another player to the game. One sorcerer can barely stand, getting crushed under the weight of that killing intent. The horned brawler casually rips an entire car from the pavement to use as a weapon. He decides to handle these mages first, manifesting a massive energy blade. He launches the vehicles at them, weaving through his own barrage like a predator. He even punches straight through a van, just to add a little style to the chaos. He effortlessly bats away their energy blasts, moving like they're standing still. The sorcerers are immediately overwhelmed, coughing up blood from his aura's sheer force. Just then, a sleek high-end car pulls up, adding another player to the game. One of the sorcerers can barely stand, getting crushed by the pressure. The horned brawler casually rips entire cars from the pavement to use as weapons. He decides to deal with these annoying mages first. Manifesting a massive energy blade, he launches the vehicles at them. Weaving through his own barrage like a predator, he punches straight through a van, just to add a little extra style to the attack. His own spirit, a massive glowing boar-like entity, reveals its true form. This brawler recognizes the clan, surprised to see one bonded with a human host. Apparently, this clan looks cuddly, but is actually an apex predator. They have almost no natural enemies out there. He offers a truce, clarifying he is not here to fight. He asks why they wouldn't just surrender to the security forces. He screams it out. Their little game of dodgeball is officially over. With one downward strike, he splits the ground wide open. A massive slab of concrete goes hurtling straight toward his target. He roars out the name of his technique, a move meant to shatter mountains. The impact is absolute madness. A devastating shockwave rips across the entire street in seconds. His opponent is launched into the air, completely helpless against that raw force. The brawler lands with a heavy thud, his claws digging deep into the cracked earth. He asks if they are ready to give up, but they just offer a cryptic invite. Meet their boss, they say. At that exact moment, the pilot's missile drones dive back into the fray. Screaming in from above, they unleash a fresh volley of fire. It slams right into the middle of the sorcerer's group. One of them curses the terrible timing as he is engulfed by the blast. Elsewhere, the blonde leader is scaling a tower for a bird's eye view. She realizes she cannot reach Chinzei, so she shifts her priority. She has to neutralize that drone pilot right now. Based on her training, she quickly pinpoints the command post on a nearby roof. Watch the flight paths, they confirm exactly what she suspected. That rooftop is where the missiles are being deployed from. The blonde leader finally locks onto her target, shouting that she found the controller. Down below, the street is just a graveyard of fire, smoke, and shattered metal. Our horned brawler smirks, thinking they all got exactly what they deserved. He was hoping to interrogate a survivor about their master's grand plan. But oh well. Just then, a drone buzzes down for a closer look at the carnage. The white-haired sniper drops in out of nowhere and shreds it. Claws ready for round 2. The brawler is immediately annoyed. He yells that he needed that drone to track down the pilot. The sniper admits he is outmatched, realizing he cannot handle this level of power. The horned guy just scoffs. At least the kid knows when he is beaten. It turns out the sniper is also a wanted man. Just a slightly less dangerous one, codenamed Stinger. A name our brawler has never heard of and honestly does not care about. As a sign of goodwill, Stinger reveals his own spirit. A massive, glowing boar-like entity manifests right before their eyes. The brawler recognizes the clan, stunned to see one bonded with a human. He knows this beast looks cuddly, but it is actually an apex predator. It has almost no natural enemies in the wild. Stinger then offers a truce, clarifying that he is not here to fight. His own spirit, a massive glowing boar-like entity, manifests for this brawler. He recognizes the clan, clearly surprised to see one of them here. Bonded to a human host, this clan might look cuddly, right? But they're actually apex predators with almost zero natural enemies. He offers a truce, clarifying he is not here to fight. Stinger gets right to business. With District 9's commander out of the picture, everyone is scrambling for the top spot. It's a total free-for-all. Whoever lands that spirit gets a one-way ticket to see the big boss. And here's the kicker. They can demand absolutely anything, from fame to total freedom. That's his goal. He just wants his criminal record wiped clean so he can finally leave this city for good. The horned brawler just grins at that, telling him it's a nice dream, but he's got zero shot. Stinger tries to lean on their shared desire for a life outside these walls, his body beginning to shift. He argues that the spirit inside him is the ultimate prize, the one thing the whole city is dying to get their hands on. He claims becoming the Crimson Emperor is the only path to scrubbing his record clean. He's pitching it as their best play for freedom, or at least a way to stop being walking targets. But the brawler isn't buying it. He senses a massive, gaping hole in the logic of this whole plan. He just smirks, telling Stinger he's thinking way too small. His rampage already tipped off the city's real rulers. Besides, he warns that being a host is basically a death sentence waiting to happen for both of them. A quick flashback hits, him telling another poor soul that being a super individual just turns you into a permanent target. Stinger pushes back, insisting there's another way to play this. He's already got his sights set on something bigger. He points toward a massive structure looming in the distance, the Crimson Emperor Tower. The brawler's eyes narrow, locking onto the landmark as it fires a colossal beam of energy straight into a vortex in the sky. He asks why they wouldn't just surrender to the security division instead of taking a swing at the top boss. Turns out, the city is ruled by the Tai King, who keeps a fragile peace with the other powerful families. The brawler guesses the order to hunt him came straight from the top dogs, and Stinger confirms it. He asks if Stinger isn't worried they'll just rip the boar spirit right out of him. Stinger admits that's a real risk, but it's the price of entry. He's never run into an opponent on this level before. Our boy just soaks that in. He's absolutely loving this high-level praise for his work. With the flattery out of the way, Stinger finally pivots to the real point of this meeting. He reveals a citywide competition held every 5 years called The Struggle. Think of it as a massive tournament where super individuals clash for riches and a direct pardon from the ruler. Our brawler processed the new info, a massive tournament for a literal get-out-of-jail-free card. You and I both know the stakes just hit the ceiling. Stinger confirms it. The struggle is officially on. He asks why they would not just surrender to the security forces. Instead of aiming for the top boss, this whole division shifts focus. The city is ruled by the Tai King, holding a fragile peace. Tensions rise with the powerful families, and this brawler guesses correctly. He figures out the order to hunt him came straight from the top. Stinger confirms it, and the brawler asks if he is worried. Is Stinger scared they will just steal his boar spirit away? But that is a risk he has to take. He admits it. Stinger says he never expected to face an opponent on this level. Our boy just soaks it in. He absolutely loves the high-level praise. With the flattery out of the way, things finally get serious. Stinger decides it is time to get to the real point. He reveals a citywide competition held every 5 years. They call it the Struggle, a massive, brutal tournament. Super individuals battle for riches and a special pardon from the ruler. Our brawler processes this, a tournament for a free pass. Stinger confirms it, and honestly, the stakes are wild. The whole struggle is about to change everything for them. The competition kicks off inside the massive tower he's pointing toward. Winning this elite event, it's the only way to get a criminal record. Wiped clean, he explains the stakes. This is the chance. For guys like them, it's a perfect shot at real fame and freedom. Chinzei is still pretty skeptical, but Stinger is dead set on joining, already mapping out his training. With a confident grin, he makes a promise. Next time they cross paths, he won't be the one losing. With a quick farewell, the sniper zips off into the night, leaving our guy alone to think. Chinzei mulls over the wild idea, but his spirit companion chimes in, confirming it knows all about this tournament. It warns that Stinger was right. All kinds of superpowered freaks will crawl out to fight for their own twisted goals, but there's a dark side. The tournament is basically a convenient way for elites to harvest the loser's spirits. He wonders why anyone would take a risk like that. And the spirit says most will gamble their lives for glory. Even the spirit admits the prizes are tempting, enough to make anyone want to roll the dice. Plus, the rules change every year. Nobody knows what to expect this time. But Chinzei's mind is made up. He's dead focused on winning. That pardon to finally be safe. At that exact moment, another one of the pilot's drones locks onto his position, revealing a whole swarm of them converging on a nearby industrial tower. Up there, the blonde leader is surrounded, shouting that she's a security captain on duty. Down below, Chinzei is completely stunned to see her caught in the middle of this mess. This drone pilot just laughs, loving the chaos and hoping it lures out even more targets. Our brawler is officially done with these toys, swearing he'll hunt the controller down himself. Up on the tower, the drones unleash a coordinated attack, riddling the structure with blasts. The blonde leader tries to make a run for it, but a drone immediately cuts off her escape path. It drops a high-caliber round right on her, engulfing the catwalk in smoke. She's caught in the blast, absolutely furious at the pilot's dirty tactics. Through the haze, she spots a zip line leading down. Her only shot at getting out alive. With no other choice, she preps her gear for a desperate escape attempt. But just as another drone moves in, Chinzei zips out of nowhere to intercept, sending her tumbling off the edge as an explosion rocks the tower behind her. She's in a total free fall, surrounded by nothing but flying debris, until our boy swoops in and snags her right out of the air. To her absolute shock, he lands them both safely on a nearby roof. Far from the chaos, he's clearly a little shaken up by the jump. Still, he just casually confirms he made it in the nick of time. The tough-as-nails captain immediately gets flustered by the close contact, realizing how solid his armored body is, though she quickly brushes that thought aside, forcing her serious game face back on. Wasting zero time, she points out the drone pilot's hidden location nearby. It's in that abandoned building, but as he turns to leave, she quickly tells him to hold on for a second. She promises to repay him for the save and answer everything later. Chinzei just gives a sharp nod, agreeing to meet up after. First, he has a little pest problem to take care of. He leaps off the ledge as she shouts out a meeting spot. Meanwhile, another monstrous brawler is powering up to join the fight. A white-haired martial artist orders his fiery subordinate to restrain their opponent. The hulking reptilian brawler looks up, sensing these new challengers on his turf. He easily blocks the flame attack, taunting the subordinate for being weak. With a deafening roar, the reptilian beast launches himself forward, ready to kill. His punch completely shatters the concrete, but the fiery guy is agile. He dodges, yet the brawler is way too fast for him. catching the guy midair with a brutal, crushing tail whip. At that exact moment, the white-haired master dives in from above. He lands a strike, though his subordinate is already panting, exhausted. He admits he has never seen a hybrid creature this tough. Suddenly, the master sprouts shadowy tentacles, making a creepy, dark offer. He plans to absorb the brawler right into his own body. He doesn't even wait for an answer, already channeling his technique. But the brawler has other plans, ripping a massive pipe from the ground. He tells the master to enjoy the pain as the makeshift spear flies. It hurtles straight toward him, but those shadowy tentacles wrap around the steel, stopping the pipe dead in its tracks just in time. This reptilian brawler screams at his partner time to fuse, get serious. The master, however, unleashes his own forbidden technique right now. A spiral of golden energy erupts, surrounded by countless phantom hands. Watch this. The master is about to turn the tide completely. He fires a rapid-fire barrage of energy blasts, hammering into the chest. Gracefully, he dodges a heavy kick, flowing around the brawler's wild attack. With expert precision, he follows up with one singular palm strike, landing a solid, clean blow right to the side of the head. That impact, it sounds like a thunderclap echoing through the entire building. The brawler staggers, his massive frame finally starting to lose its balance. But this fight is far from over, and the beast is furious. He regains his footing, eyes burning with an even darker rage. It's clear this is only the first round of a brutal war. You can tell these two aren't holding anything back anymore. One strike sends the brawler reeling, totally dazed by the sheer force. Before he can recover, the master traps him in place. He screams out the name of his finishing move, an absolute thunderquick. The master effortlessly levitates the massive brawler. He's winding up to end this fight with a single, brutal flourish. A follow-up strike, the whirlwind stomp crashed down. That reptilian fighter goes flying, smashing right through the concrete. He craters through floor after floor of the building below. His subordinate is stunned, staring at the destruction in disbelief. He had no idea his master packed that kind of raw physical power. It turns out to be an ancient art, the 8 trigrams palm. The subordinate has never heard of it, still reeling from the shock. Being pushed this hard by one opponent, it's uncharted territory. Meanwhile, another team of fighters is rushing through the ruined streets. Their leader, a silver-haired woman, gets an update on their position. Her squad is moving in, closing the net on their prey. Back at the crater, the fiery subordinate realizes the target is gone. But get this, the master is actually hiding right under a car. He's melting into the shadows, making himself impossible to track. His partner flies right over, completely oblivious to this sneaky move. The subordinate lands, convinced their opponent managed to slip away. But then, the earth starts to tremble and crack apart. The ground ruptures with massive force. That reptilian brawler bursts from the rubble, roaring with fury. He declares a top hunter doesn't go down that easily. The subordinate can't believe how tough this guy actually is. The brawler just laughs, asking if they are ready for more. The master silences his partner, shaking off the fight. Their real target is the spirit with those glowing red eyes. He vows to remember the face of that silver-haired woman. Elsewhere, she has regrouped, checking her squad for any casualties. One soldier reports their comrades were dissolved by a monster. He adds coldly that they got exactly what they deserved. She shuts him down, telling them to focus on the mission. They have a job to finish, and the target is elsewhere. A subordinate hands over a glowing red crystal to her. The objective is complete, but a rival leader is watching. She realizes the woman used the city with chaos as perfect cover. A clean heist, stealing that mysterious artifact right under their noses. Back to our boy, a pilot's drone continues a relentless search. But Chinzei is already closing in, zipping through the urban wasteland. He's moving at top speed, leaving the wreckage in his wake. From his control room, the pilot taunts his prey. He dares the boy to stop hiding and face the drones again. Those little toys keep circling the derelict building, hunting for blood. He is using it as his own personal fortress, but bad for him. Chinzei is already inside. He spots a hulking robot guard on patrol. He clocks the extra security, figuring this guy is more than just a random nuisance. His strategy, go for the head, take out the pilot before alerting anyone else. He goes completely still, closing his eyes. Tapping into his enhanced senses, he unleashes a psychic ability. It spreads out like a web to map the area. He can feel every tiny vibration and movement throughout the entire structure. He picks up on a fan of fire, and hilariously, the distinct sound of a toilet flushing. Locking onto that specific sound, he pinpoints the pilot's exact location. His eyes snap open as he realizes the guy is literally right next to the bathroom. And that guy is just stretching out, completely oblivious that his hiding spot has been compromised. He plops back into his chair, ready to return to his favorite pastime of causing chaos. He slips on his visor to deploy another wave of mechanical pests. Right then, the ceiling above him explodes as Chinzei comes crashing down. Our boy makes a perfect landing, grabbing the pilot by the shirt before he can even scream. This pilot's face is a perfect picture of I have made a huge mistake, as Chinzei introduces his face to the floor. With absolutely zero ceremony. It leaves the guy completely knocked out and drooling on the concrete. So Chinzei decides to do some spring cleaning, starting with all this drone junk. A few well-placed stomps turn the rest of the pilot's toys into scrap metal. He stands there for a moment, just admiring his handiwork. But while tidying up, he stumbles across a few rolled-up schematics. They turn out to be professional-grade blueprints for the drones. A real shame they were used for this. Figuring they might come in handy, he decides to pocket them for later. Just then, the pilot starts to stir, looking horrified to see who is still there. And our boy gives him a friendly good morning. With the creepiest grin he can muster, he then delivers a quick good punch as a reminder to get a better hobby. With the pest problem officially handled, it is time to head back out. Meanwhile, the blonde captain is rushing to the rendezvous point. Her team set it up, and she finally meets up with her comrades. They are relieved to see she is okay. She is a little worried about Chinzei, but her white-haired friend tells her not to sweat it. This team decides it is time to move, splitting up to go. They grab a vehicle and regroup, the only move left. Chinzei hits the meeting spot, but he finds nothing. The place is totally empty. Did he get the wrong spot? Suddenly, a girl with pink pigtails calls down from a roof. Seems like this is his contact, after all. Chinzei finds her with an injured friend who explains it all. The explosion knocked them both out right where they stood. He confirms the drone pilot responsible is out of the picture. This pink-haired girl explains that people like them are different. Way tougher, they have natural self-healing abilities. Her companion, though, is still hurting, blaming his nausea on a concussion. Then, screeching tires echo through the deserted street. Chinzei's enhanced senses pick it up instantly. He tells them to stay put while he checks it out. It is the blonde captain, finally pulling up in a van. She has the rest of her team with her. Realizing they are friendlies, he gives the all clear. The two squads finally meet up in the open. The captain's crew immediately starts tending to their wounded comrade. His pink-haired contact notes they have all had a rough night. With the danger handled, Chinzei cuts right to the chase. He needs to know the next plan immediately. A soldier tells everyone to pile into the van. They need to get some rest before the sun comes up. Meanwhile, a storm rages across the city around a futuristic tower. Deep in a shaft, something is humming to life. Within a web of pipes, a massive biomechanical creature is hooked up. Volatile green energy surrounds it. Wait, look at this. The energy coalesces into the shape of a roaring spectral dragon. This phantom beast begins to lash out, its power surging wildly. It smashes violently into the surrounding machinery and containment tubes. The exterior of the tower is taking a beating. A massive power gauge is redlining from the sheer overload. High above, a council of officials watches the chaos unfold. A disembodied voice echoes through the high-tech command center. It declares the creature is not receiving enough power. That voice belongs to their leader, Lord Tai. He looms over his subordinates like an angry god. The council members are terrified, sweating bullets under his gaze. They mutter among themselves, realizing they have failed. Their jobs, their lives, everything is on the line now. Lord Tai explains the problem with a cold, sharp tone. The creature is consuming far less energy than it releases. It is threatening the entire city with total destruction. You can feel the tension in the room. It's suffocating. His underlings drop to their knees right away, begging for mercy. They know they've failed. This entire council takes the hit. They realize the city infrastructure is on the edge. It will completely collapse without that missing power source. He asks if the district commanders are ready for the chaos. City with blackout coming, and one of them steps forward. He promises they are on it, but notes the host count is rising. Turns out, this massive beast pang literally feeds on these hosts. It drains them to sustain its own immense, terrifying power. That makes one official wonder if the monster's appetite is growing. Lord Tae corrects him. It is not just the quantity. It is the astral quality of the energy it demands. He shifts focus, asking about the kid from District 9, and that powerful spirit he is carrying around inside him. A commander reports that a team is already out to retrieve it. They have orders to grab it at all costs, no matter what. That spirit is the only weapon that can actually threaten Pingyu. A dark, shadowy beast with glowing eyes flashes on the screen. A grim reminder of exactly what is at stake for them. The commander of District 5, a mountain of a man, steps up. He confirms he sent his best hunters after Chinzei. Lord Tae does not care who has it right now. He declares the spirit is city property, essential for his plan. His subordinates roar in agreement. Their loyalty is absolute. It is honestly a little creepy how they follow his lead. But down below, a mustached official smirks to himself. He is already thinking of the prey he can claim. Though that same official is secretly stewing in regret. He wishes he never put his own son in charge. Now he is openly weeping because his bad decision got his kid killed. His grief quickly twists into rage, vowing revenge on the sorcerer, especially on Chinzei and a purple-haired executive named Chimzin. Chimzin explains Lord Tae is setting up a citywide competition. This is a trap to lure Chinzei in and control him. They plan to recover the spirit and all his assets. The rest of the council is happy to go along. The grieving father promised a hefty reward for their cooperation. That seems to cheer the man right up instantly. Another official adjusts his glasses, pulling up intel on the target. His high-tech specs reveal Chinzei is not on the list. But get this, here's why the kid is a target. Oh boy is an S-class threat with nowhere else to turn. Joining this deadly struggle is his only path to a life. Lord Tae looms over them, smugly asking if he has a choice. And the District 5 commander just waits for his command. He grins, confirming he absolutely does not get it. The room erupts in laughter, everyone clearly enjoying the show. They really have him backed into a tight corner now. With his revenge plot secure, the mustached official vows revenge. He's going to hunt down that mysterious sorcerer. Meanwhile, Chinzei is just waking up, letting out a long, slow stretch. He sinks back into a surprisingly comfy bed, thinking, man, he could really get used to this kind of comfort. Only to find one of his new comrades staring right at him. From the other side of the bed, our boy basically levitates off the mattress, completely freaked out by his unexpected bunkmate. This side just shrugs. They were short on beds, so they had to share, a first for him, apparently. After that rude awakening, Chinzei stands by the window. Contemplating his life choices, he spots his own suitcase in the corner, wondering how it even ended up here. First things first, though, a quick change of clothes is definitely in order. The sound of him moving around gets the attention of his pink-haired acquaintance, who finds him just as he's pulling on a fresh jacket. Ready for the day, she greets him with a frying pan. announcing it's way past breakfast, so move it. He asks how. She got his stuff, and she explains the team went and retrieved it for him. Turns out his old apartment was already being torn apart by security forces. A total mess. She points out he's a fugitive now, so he might as well lay low with them for a while. This makes Chinzei a little nervous, realizing their ex-cop captain knows everything about them. His new friend warns him to be careful since the captain hasn't exactly severed all her old ties. The captain herself overhears this, retorting those ties are how they get intel. She then dangles an ID card, asking if this is what he's looking for. He is stunned to see two ID cards in her hand. One is a fake. She explains since he's officially a wanted man, he'll need the new one to get around. This fresh ID gives him a whole new name and identity, which is probably for the best. Naturally, the pink-haired girl asks if she gets one too, but the captain just shuts her down. Apparently, her rank isn't high enough to warrant a fake ID. To her horror, she immediately breaks down, realizing her new role is basically the team's designated cook. Meanwhile, across the city, a massive clock tower looms over the urban sprawl. Up on a high perch, the white-haired leader learns the blood essence extraction is already underway. The white-haired leader gives the signal the extraction is officially a go. Just in time, Chinzei and the captain pull up to the hideout. Chinzei gets hit with a surprise right away. A massive new face. This is Chinzei, a mountain of a man clearly sizing him up. He is their head of personnel, running logistics for the whole team. And he is not shy about flexing, making sure everyone sees those muscles. Chinzei politely thanks him for grabbing his luggage, just playing it cool. But Chinzei isn't having it, closing that space until they're way too close. He whispers something sharp meant to rattle him, and it totally works. Chinzei jumps back just as Chinzei declares it is time for initiation. Chinzei shuts that down fast, reminding them he never signed up for this. He is not part of their crew, not by a long shot. Chinzei just laughs it off, brushing the protest aside like it's nothing. He tells him since he is new to the city, he is a rookie by default. The white-haired leader finally steps in, and Chinzei comes clean to her. He originally came to her for one reason, to get rid of his spirit. The whole plan was to find a way to cut the entity loose. He just wants to go back to being a normal, quiet human again. She guesses the security division must have been involved in his past. Only they have the reach to handle something like a spirit extraction. The captain confirms it is possible, but warns the process is brutal. The city considers these spirits assets, and they want them back. But Chinzei has shifted gears. He and his spirit are a package deal now. He locks onto her wording, demanding to know why she called them assets. She explained her old job was simple: hunt hosts, extract the spirits. She did it for her superiors, never asking where they went. What happened after the extraction was classified, kept under tight wraps. She never knew the truth, just followed orders like a good soldier. The white-haired leader decides it is time for a real history lesson. It all goes back to a massive, world-altering explosion years ago. A failed project caused a spirit leak, scattering these entities everywhere. That single event cracked the world open and changed everything. Humanity was forced to coexist with these hosts whether they liked it or not. The pink-haired girl puts it together, the pieces finally clicking into place. These spirits were never natural occurrences, just city property that escaped. She realizes the spirits were originally stored away in some dark, empty void. The white-haired leader nods, confirming the origins of this nightmare. She explains the captain's grandfather stepped in to stop a total war. A conflict between humans and hosts was imminent until he acted. Captain Buffalo confirms her grandpa built massive mechs to keep order. These machines acted as a neutral third party on the battlefield, a deterrent so powerful it forced a fragile truce between the factions. Their pink-haired friend is floored, finally grasping the weight of it all. She learns the captain's family name, a title that carries real history. They were a massive manufacturing dynasty, the Titans of District 11. Chinzei asks why she hid who she really is, and she finally admits it. The Luo name is basically a death sentence in this place. Her entire family was wiped out when she was just a child. Her master protected her until she joined security to rebuild everything. In a flashback, her master reminds young Bu Fengluo of her duty. She is the family's sole heir, and the little girl clenches her fists. She vows right there to restore her family honor no matter the cost. Of course, her early training was a little less than graceful, full of awkward stances and absolutely zero coordination. One fellow student whines about her getting special treatment from their master. Feeling totally slighted, he just can't keep his mouth shut. So young Bu Fengluo promptly introduces his face to the sole of her foot. Her master decides pure combat training is not going to cut it. He brings in a new mentor, the former chief engineer of the Luo Mech division. The young captain-to-be looks a little nervous about her new, serious teacher. He reflects on his debt to her grandfather and vows to repay it. By training her well, he's going to push her to the absolute limit. Back in the present, their injured friend is trying to process this history. Groaning, he realizes they've tangled themselves in a massive, multi-generational feud. Chinzei, on the other hand, is completely done with the history lesson. He demands to know the actual plan. Chinzei promptly puts Chinzei in a headlock. Pipe down, she snaps. The leader explains that her family and the captains were both ruined. Lord Taiyi pulled the strings, but he is just a puppet for Pangu. This entity is planning to wipe out humanity entirely. It is a massive revelation, and honestly, you can feel the dread in the room. Chinzei is left reeling, realizing they have all been living under its shadow. The pink-haired girl is equally horrified, questioning how this thing works. What kind of entity can control people for this long? The white-haired leader declares their new mission is clear. They have to stop this disaster from happening before it is too late. The silver-haired girl looks horrified, questioning what is happening. What kind of entity can control people for such a long time? The white-haired leader declares their new mission is to stop this. They have to prevent this total disaster from unfolding.